The story begins with a scene in a classroom. A boy is shown sleeping on his desk. Suddenly, and wakes up in frustration. The boy immediately starts screaming at an emperor he must have been dreaming about, but as he opens his eyes, he realizes that all his classmates are laughing at him. He starts sweating profusely out of nervousness as his classmates mock him for daydreaming and writing a letter to a beautiful girl named Panline, whom he secretly admires. Embarrassed and overwhelmed, the boy remains silent, his face flushed with humiliation. As he looks around, he suddenly realizes something shocking. He is back in his high school classroom. A surge of disbelief washes over him. After a moment of thought, he concludes with amazement that he has been reborn and is now living in the time of his teenage years. The boy, Su-han, glances at the clock. It's noon on the 3rd of April. His eyes widen with realization. Today is the day when a phenomenon will emerge that will change the world, and he knows there are only 3 hours left before it happens. Determined, he stands abruptly, intending to leave the classroom, but just as he moves, a girl blocks his path. She throws a folded piece of paper to the floor in front of him. It's none other than Panline. Lean glares at Han and coldly tells him to take a look at himself, mocking him for being unworthy of her. She mentions a love letter she claims he wrote, questioning if he even deserves to be in her presence. Han freezes for a moment, confused, but then, his memory clicks. He recalls that in his previous life, Lean's boyfriend, Sherman Ching, had set him up with a fake love letter to humiliate him and force him into 2 years of servitude. However, this time, Han is no longer afraid of anyone. He straightens up, his eyes blazing with confidence. "Take a look at yourself first," he says sharply. "You're just a stinky fox." The entire class gasps in shock. This isn't the Su-han they know. His boldness leaves them stunned. Whispers fill the room as everyone wonders if he has lost his mind. They eagerly anticipate the inevitable confrontation when Ching arrives. Lean, visibly flustered and shaken, stammers, "What are you talking about?" But before Han can respond, the classroom door swings open. A tall, handsome boy strides in, exuding confidence and a smug grin. It's Sherman Ching. Lean immediately clings to Ching, wrapping herself around his torso, and whines, "Han called me a stinky fox, teach him a lesson." Ching chuckles, his gaze locking onto Han. "I won't let this slide," he says with a dangerous edge to his voice. He steps forward, smirking, and offers Han a final chance. "If you agree to obey me from now on," Ching says, "I'll let you off the hook." But Han doesn't flinch. He meets Ching's gaze coldly. "You're nothing but a fool," he retorts, his voice cutting like a blade. Furious, Ching grabs Han by the collar. "Do you even know who you're talking to?" he snarls, but before he can say another word, Han moves like lightning, landing a heel kick square on Ching's face. The impact sends Ching flying through the wooden door, crashing onto the hallway floor. The room falls into stunned silence. Han dusts off his hands, calls Ching a waste of time, and walks out of the classroom without another glance. His classmates, including Lean, are left speechless, their jaws hanging in disbelief. As Han exits, whispers ripple through the class. They can't believe what they've just witnessed. "Is this really Su-han?" someone mutters. "He's so strong and cold." Walking through the locker room, Han reflects on his newfound determination. In his past life, he had been weak, but in this life, he vows to be invincible. Yet, he knows the truth right now. He's still weak and poor. He clenches his fists, aware that the Earth is about to restore its aura, a phenomenon that will change everything. Han resolves to seize this chance, gather resources, and become stronger. He will prepare for the enemies from his past life and destroy them all. Without wasting another second, Han sprints out of the school building. From a higher vantage point, Looney, the class monitor, secretly watches him. She raises an eyebrow, intrigued. "How have I never noticed him before?" she wonders. A sly smile crosses her face as she thinks, "He might just be the strongest classmate I have." Meanwhile, Han pulls out his phone and dials a familiar number. His hands tremble as the call connects. When the person on the other side picks up, he hesitates for a moment before softly calling her name. La sits in her high school library, her phone vibrating in her hand. She frowns at the unfamiliar number, but something compels her to answer. "Who are you, and how do you know my name?" she asks, her voice filled with confusion and a hint of wariness. On the other end of the line, Han speaks with urgency. "La, listen carefully. This might sound unbelievable, but it's important. I would never hurt you, I promise." La raises an eyebrow. unsure what to make of his tone. Han continues, his voice steady but filled with worry. In the next 2 hours, a massive change will take place in the world. Everything is going to expand by hundreds of kilometers. You need to leave your school immediately and head to the nearest high mountain, Kagwin Mountain. When you get there, wait for the first phase of Reiki recovery to end. Please, trust me. His desperation is palpable. La, I owe you everything. In another time, you saved me, and I will not let you suffer because of me again. On the other side, La stares at her phone, her heart conflicted. The sincerity in his voice makes her pause. She mumbles to herself, he sounds so genuine. Should I trust him? After a few moments of hesitation, she stands up. Kagwin Mountain is an hour away. She decides. Her instincts tell her to believe this stranger. Meanwhile, Han speeds through the streets on his scooter. His mind is fixed on his destination, Han City Park. He remembers it vividly, the place where the most intense awakening occurred. There's an ancient building at the base of the mountain. Han mutters to himself, that's where I'll find the 9-leaf lotus. I won't let the 7 treasures slip through my fingers this time. In his past life, Han had no qualifications to cultivate immortality. He had watched helplessly as powerful forces fought over treasures, leaving destruction and death in their wake. Now, he was determined to rewrite his fate. As he reaches a traffic light, Han taps impatiently on the handlebars, waiting for it to turn green. The seconds stretch endlessly. I can't wait any longer, he growls, revving the scooter and ignoring the red light. Hey, don't cross on red, an old man shouts from the sidewalk. Han glances back briefly but presses forward, the urgency of his mission outweighing everything else. At Han Park, Liang Dasha stands near a towering monument, flanked by 3 men. One of them turns to him, his voice low and skeptical. Dasha, are you sure about this girl? She might not succeed, no matter how skilled she is. Han arrives at the park. One of his men steps forward to intercept the newcomer. Hey, the park's closed for today. Leave, the man barks. Han's frustration boils over. This is a public park. Who the hell is Liang Dasha to close it? The man's expression hardens. He grabs Han by the collar, his voice menacing. Dasha is the richest man in the area. If you value your life, you'll turn around and leave. Han's eyes narrow. Without a word, he grabs the man's hand and applies pressure. The man yelps in pain, pulling back his injured hand. Seeing this, the other 2 men rush at Han, but Han doesn't flinch. You're lucky I'm not at full strength, Han mutters to himself. Despite his weakened body, his self-defense techniques honed in his previous life spring into action. With swift movements, Han grabs one attacker and slams him into the ground. The man's face hits the dirt with a sickening thud. Another attacker lunges, but Han's foot connects with his chin, sending him sprawling. In mere seconds, all 3 men are defeated. Han stands over them, his expression cold. Next time, don't cross someone you don't understand. As he walks away, he glances at the time. The awakening is less than 10 minutes away. Han reaches a stunning waterfall, its roar echoing through the park. He gazes at the surrounding rocks, his eyes scanning for the 9-leaf lotus. It should be here, he murmurs, his heart racing. He remembers the hours he spent researching this plant in his previous life. It had taken him months to find. Han hears voices approaching and turns to see a group of people led by a man. The leader sneers at him, calling him stupid for daring to offend him. Don't even think about escaping, the man warns. The man steps closer, puffing out his chest. I am Liang Shu, he declares arrogantly. Han narrows his eyes, immediately recognizing him. Liang Shu, the name echoes in his mind, triggering memories from his previous life. Han recalls stories of this arrogant man who discovered the 9-leaf lotus and used it to rise to fame as a cultivator. Despite his conceit, Liang Shu had repeatedly saved the city from demonic beasts. In the end, he had sacrificed himself in a battle with a foreign cultivator, leaving the entire city to mourn his loss. Liang Shu pokes Han in the chest, his tone condescending. Are you the fool who dared to cross me? Han doesn't respond. Instead, he grabs Liang by the cheeks, moving his face side to side as if inspecting him. Are you the real Liang Shu? Han mutters, more to himself than anyone else. You don't even look like a hero. Liang pulls away, clearly flustered. His voice rises as he rants like an offended child. Are you mocking me? How dare you speak to me this way? One of Liang's lackeys steps forward. Should we kill him? He's already offended you. Han glances at the time. It's almost time, he whispers. Suddenly, The sky darkens as lightning strikes, and thunder rolls. The atmosphere grows heavy, and the ground trembles beneath them. The rocks around the waterfall begin to collapse. Liang Shu looks around, his arrogance giving way to shock. What's happening? The people with him panic, screaming for Liang to run, but he doesn't move, frozen as he watches the waterfall collapse before his eyes. Han, on the other hand, stands firm, his hand over his chest. He feels it, the restoration of the world's aura has begun. The first phase of recovery is underway. Han's thoughts race. This is it, the beginning of chaos. Millions will die, but for a few, this is the chance to awaken their cultivation. He also knows that rare Lingbao medicine will start appearing, giving those fortunate enough to find it a significant advantage. Liang grabs Han's arm. Are you stupid? We need to leave. This place is dangerous, he shouts. Han shrugs him off effortlessly, stepping forward without hesitation. He leaps onto a rock, then another, scaling the waterfall with ninja-like agility. Liang watches in stunned silence. What is he doing? He mutters, disbelief etched across his face. Suddenly, a massive, dragon-like creature appears in the darkened sky. Liang's shock turns to terror as he stares at it. Is this the end of the world? He whispers. Meanwhile, Han reaches the top of the waterfall. He spots a massive tree in the distance, its aura overwhelming. At the base of the tree lies his target, a vibrant pink 9-leaf lotus. Han approaches the lotus, his heart pounding. So, this is it. The aura began recovering the moment this lotus appeared. He carefully picks the lotus, marveling at its energy. With this, I can finally start my journey to cultivation, he says to himself. Han decides his next destination, Jinshi Canyon, on the outskirts of the city. He knows it will be an essential place for his first phase of cultivation, but as he turns to leave, the lotus starts glowing in his hands. What's happening? Han mutters, his eyes widening. He waits, expecting to feel his cultivation awaken, yet nothing happens. Why can't I sense my dantian? He wonders, frustration creeping in. Determined to understand, Han sits cross-legged on the ground, closing his eyes to focus. Is this my internal strength holding me back? He ponders. A moment later, a golden triangular object appears before him, shining brilliantly. Han's eyes snap open, and he stares at the object in disbelief. It's my lucky day, Han exclaims, recognizing it immediately. He grins, the pieces of his destiny falling into place. I never thought I'd get a second chance. Not only will I reach the realm of the Emperor, but I will also break through to a higher plane. This time, I will fulfill my vendetta and destroy the 9 heavenly kings. Their thrones will be mine. Sitting in the park, holding the glowing object, Han reflects on his extraordinary fortune. The regret of his previous life begins to fade as he feels the first stirrings of his cultivation awakening. This is just the beginning. Han's cultivation has automatically risen, and he confidently believes he will be the first person in this new world to awaken his abilities. In his past life, the fastest awakening had taken 3 days, but now, he is far ahead. Suddenly, his eyes catch a glimpse of a strange fruit lying by his side. Picking it up, Han feels the immense aura it exudes. Examining it closely, he recognizes it as the Jua fruit, an extremely rare and powerful fruit essential for enhancing cultivation. Han smiles, recalling how in his previous life, people fought fiercely during the recovery phase just to obtain one. Now, with 3 Jua fruits in his hand, he feels invincible. With these, I can drastically improve my cultivation, Han says to himself, his confidence surging. He eagerly plans to head to Jinshi Canyon to acquire more sacred objects, believing he already possesses enough strength to confront the members of the Shoshan family. Moments later, Liang Shu climbs to the top of the waterfall, panting and visibly shaken. Han, he calls out, his voice trembling. The world, it's in chaos. Mountains are rising from the ground. Dragons are flying in the sky. What's happening? Han listens in silence, his gaze fixed on Liang. After a moment, Han hands the 9-leaf lotus to him. Take this, Han says calmly. Start cultivating with it immediately. Liang stares at him in disbelief. Why are you giving this to me? Han explains that since his dantian has already awakened, he no longer needs the lotus. It's useless for me now. Before Liang can respond, Han leaps into the air, soaring away with ease. Liang watches in awe, astonished by Han's agility. Is he flying? Liang murmurs to himself, realizing just how much the world has changed. Han lands at the foot of the waterfall, assessing his abilities. My jumps are still weak, he notes, deciding to find a safe place to consume the jua fruits and strengthen himself. Later, in a quiet hotel room, Han sits with the 3 jua fruits placed in front of him. He can feel their rich aura and knows they will propel him to the intermediate stage of the foundation layer. 3 days pass as Han consumes the fruits, feeling his body fill with immense strength. By the end of the 3rd day, Han realizes the jua fruits have lost their holy spirit, but his cultivation has advanced to the final steps of the middle layer of the foundation stage. Feeling powerful and refreshed, he decides to head to school to address some lingering issues before departing for Jinshi Canyon. Walking through the school corridors, Han overhears 2 students talking animatedly about the recent chaos. The government is trying to handle it. One says, "But have you heard about those people who've awakened insane powers?" "Yeah, like that one student who ate a strange fruit. They say he can fly and shapeshift now," the other adds. Han listens but chooses not to engage. He continues walking until he's suddenly stopped by Qing Linan and his group of lackeys. Qing smirks arrogantly. Well, look who's back. Han, after what happened last time, I didn't think you'd dare show your face again. Han, unimpressed, responds sharply with a volley of verbal insults, silencing the laughter of Qing's lackeys. The group starts whispering, wondering if Han is aware of Qing's newfound powers. Brimming with arrogance, Qing steps closer, threatening, "You don't know who you're messing with. Let me teach you your final lesson." Qing's hand suddenly transforms into a bear's paw, and he lunges at Han with newfound strength. But Han doesn't flinch. Calmly, he sidesteps the attack and counters with a precise punch under Qing's chin. The force sends Qing flying backward, landing on the ground in a heap. Han glares at the fallen Qing. "Don't waste my time." Witnessing her boyfriend's humiliation, Lenin, one of Qing's lackeys, steps forward, furious. Her eyes gleam with rage as her teeth sharpen into knife-like fangs. "You'll regret this," she screams as tentacles emerge from her back, her body transforming into something grotesque. "You're dead, Han," Lenin vows, her voice filled with venom. Her frustration grows as the monster charges toward her with ferocious intent. Despite her doubts about Han, Uni tightens her grip on her magical weapon, determined to protect her classmates and the school. As Uni battles the monster, Lenin, standing with Qing, mocks Han with a venomous laugh. "Look at that, running away like a coward, just what I expected," she sneers. Qing nods in agreement. Uni doesn't need his help anyway. She's the queen of this school, unlike that weakling. Lenin grins maliciously. "Exactly, people like Han are all talk. They don't belong in a world of cultivators." Han, hearing their taunts, smirks to himself but doesn't turn back. He knows that responding to fools is a waste of energy. "Let them bark," he mutters under his breath as he leads the child to safety. Walking through the chaotic schoolyard, Han thinks about how people often misjudge strength. Uni has potential, he acknowledges, but she's too impulsive. Strength without wisdom is just recklessness. He glances at the little girl holding his hand, her eyes filled with fear but also admiration for Uni. She's brave for stepping up, Han thinks, but bravery without experience is dangerous. He reassures the child again. "Don't worry, Uni is strong. She'll protect everyone." The little girl nods, her tears beginning to dry. Meanwhile, Uni continues her fight against the monster. Her weapon gleams with energy as she strikes repeatedly, but her lack of familiarity with its power hinders her movements. The monster's roars grow louder, its tentacles thrashing wildly and destroying the ground around them. "I have to end this quickly," Uni tells herself, her breathing ragged. She thinks of her classmates and how they're depending on her. "I can't let them down." She glances toward Han one last time and realizes he's leaving the area completely. Her frustration peaks. So much for him being a classmate, she mutters bitterly. Selfish and useless, unbothered by Uni's misconceptions. Han has arrived at the Jinji Canyon, but he doesn't seem too happy to be there. His eyes scan the area, and he notices a huge crowd gathered in front of him. He wonders what's going on. In his previous life, only 2 families were aware of the treasure hidden in the Jinshi Canyon. As Han walks through the crowd, he overhears people talking about a sacred fruit appearing in the Jinshi Canyon, which has attracted so many cultivators at once. One person expresses his desire to become a cultivator to marry a beautiful woman, while others laugh and tell him to stop dreaming. He's not the only cultivator in the crowd. Han continues walking when suddenly, Ling Shu appears, his face lighting up with excitement. He grabs Han's hand and exclaims in disbelief, "I thought I'd never see you again." Han, unfazed, asks if Ling has absorbed the 9-leaf lotus flow. Ling replies, beaming with pride, that after taking the lotus flow, he can now absorb the aura of heaven and earth. He continues, saying Han is a very good person, and that he understood the importance of the fruit after their incident together. Ling, with admiration, adds that he admires Han so much because Han gave him the fruit so easily, a fruit valued at hundreds of millions of dollars, capable of helping people awaken their cultivation. Han interrupts, his tone cold, telling Ling to stop praising him. He demands that Ling explain what's happening at the Jingshi Canyon. Ling Shu eagerly explains that someone posted news about monsters and a treasure appearing at the Jingshi Canyon, which caught the attention of so many people. Han, frowning, asks why that person didn't seize the opportunity to benefit from it themselves, instead of sharing it with the world. Han's mind starts to race, his prediction of changing destiny might be coming true. A woman in the crowd catches Han's attention. He thinks she looks like Luji, a member of the Lu family. Han also notices two men standing some distance away from Luji and wonders, are they Fong Ganzi and Fong Zhenyu from the Fong family? He remembers hearing that these two are cultivation geniuses who started cultivating before the aura awakening even occurred. As Luji walks through the crowd, people greet her with respect, and Ling Shu tells Han that, according to the people, the Lu family is the most powerful in Nan City. He says their strength is far greater than people like them, the common folk. Ling Shu mentions that Luji is also a genius cultivator, and when the aura awakening began, her family recruited many capable cultivators due to their business ties with the Lu family. Ling asks Han if he would like to join them, but Han coldly refuses, his tone sharp as he starts to walk away. Ling Shu tries to stop him, but Ling Lin and Qing are having a slight argument. Ling Lin tells Qing that Luji sees him as just a classmate and doesn't even care about him. She accuses him of trying to suck up to her because he's aware of her identity. Qing, stubbornly, claims that he and his girlfriend will follow Luji, but he points out that despite being classmates, Luji has a very different personality from them. He then demands Ling Lin apologize to Luji. Han looks at them both and calls them idiots. Ling Shu bursts into laughter, drawing everyone's attention. He quickly apologizes for not controlling his laughter, then tells Han he finds him hilarious whenever people respect Luji. Han just calls them idiots and never fails to entertain him. Han, his voice dripping with annoyance, tells Ling Shu that he has no time to waste on stupid people and that he'll leave them to him. Meanwhile, a woman standing next to Luji asks if she's not going to teach Han a lesson for insulting her. Luji calmly replies that she will let him go. She expresses her desire to wait until Han sees what real strength is, hoping he'll understand that some things can't be overcome by luck. Deep down, Luji is frustrated because she's never been ignored in public, and she feels there's still unfinished business with Han. Suddenly, Fong Zhenyu approaches Yunzi, his voice dripping with contempt, and tells her not to be angry. He thinks Han is just a cockroach who doesn't even know how high he's flying. He offers to help her kill Han once they enter the mountain, but Yunzi coldly refuses, telling him that he doesn't need to. Watching her leave, Zhenyu sneers to himself, filled with arrogance, thinking, she should wait until I get the holy treasure. Then, she'll kneel before me. Zhenyu turns to Uncle Lu and asks about the plan regarding the sacred treasure. Uncle Lu responds with a tone of confidence, informing Zhenyu that everything has been taken care of by Fong Ganzi and the entire family. He assures Zhenyu that the sacred treasure in the Jingshi Canyon is perfect for him. 3 days later, in the mountains, Han sits high on a rocky perch, completely alone. He gazes across the vast expanse, thinking to himself, the Jingshi Canyon truly is the best place in the city. Despite the dangers posed by numerous wild animals, Han has managed to locate several sacred fruit trees with minimal effort. He feels a deep sense of satisfaction, as the beasts are no threat to him, and defeating them is only helping to improve his cultivation. Han sits amidst the corpses of fierce beasts, their lifeless bodies scattered around him. In front of him lie several sacred fruits. He examines them and reflects, the aura of these fruits may not compare to that of the Jua fruit, but there's still enough to help me reach the peak of the foundation layer. Determined, he resolves that once he reaches that stage, he will undo the regrets of his past life. Han's gaze darkens as memories of his past failures surface. Despite his relentless efforts, he had never reached the realm of the emperor in his previous life. He knows it's because his cultivation foundation had been flawed. Now, he understands the crucial importance of building a perfect foundation. A strong cultivation foundation is essential for future success. He muses, and it determines how high a cultivator can climb. Han reminds himself that while a perfect foundation is ideal for the formation phase, Achieving the realm of the gods requires reaching 2 levels beyond that. This painful realization is what drives him now. He vows to create a flawless foundation this time. Han decides to use the aura gathering technique, believing it to be a powerful method for strengthening his foundation. He approaches the massive corpse of a beast before him and mutters, "It needs to be glazed first so I can use the technique." The aura gathering technique is straightforward yet profound. It involves absorbing aura from the bones and blood of beasts, refining it into energy. However, Han knows that the stronger the beast, the greater the aura it can provide. For legendary cultivators, only mythical beasts can meet their needs. The next day, Han stumbles upon a mysterious spirit fruit. He knows it is 3 levels below the Jua fruit but still considers it a valuable find. Standing before a glowing white tree, Han suddenly senses a hostile presence. His instincts sharpen, and as someone strikes at him from behind, he quickly dodges the attack. Han turns to confront his assailant, who introduces himself as Tien. Impressive reflexes, Tien sneers, "You're quite fast for dodging my attack." Realizing his sword failed to kill Han, Tien smirks and offers a deal. "Kneel before me and hand over the sacred fruit. I'm in a good mood, so I'll let you live." Han's lips curl into a mocking smile as he retorts, "Was it your mother who gave you such a ridiculous name?" Tien's face flushes with rage. "You dare insult me? You don't know who you're messing with. My agent is already locked and loaded with a rocket launcher aimed at you." Han glances at Tien's agent and calmly assesses the situation. He sees this as the perfect opportunity to test the progress of his cultivation. Placing the sacred fruit in his coat pocket, he thinks to himself, "How many cultivators have failed to master that weapon?" Tien's agent fires the rocket directly at Han. The explosion is massive, and smoke engulfs the area. A wicked smile spreads across Tien's face as his agent reports, "The target isn't moving." The agents laugh, confident that Han is dead. "The fruit is ours now," one declares. But as the smoke clears, Han emerges, unharmed but slightly pained. He shakes off the dust and murmurs to himself, "They're overconfident." Agents are shocked to see Han alive, their faces filled with disbelief, as they had thought their attack was too powerful to survive. Tien, utterly stunned, wonders how Han can even stand after such an attack, given that the very same rockets had killed countless cultivators before. As Han calmly approaches, Tien's eyes narrow in suspicion. He begins to suspect Han is protected by a magical weapon, though he doesn't dwell on the thought for long. Drawing his sword, Tien sneers, his voice dripping with menace. "This is no ordinary weapon," Tien declares, "but I will spare you if you hand over your magical protection." Han smiles coolly, an air of unshaken confidence surrounding him. "You don't understand the situation, Tien," he says, his voice steady but cutting. "Instead, you should be the one apologizing." Tien's face darkens with frustration. "Enough of your arrogance. I will pierce your heart with this sword," he shouts, lunging forward with deadly intent. Han, unbothered, effortlessly blocks the attack. He chuckles as he examines the blade. "The fan-flying sword? How weak," he remarks, his tone mocking. Tien freezes, utterly stunned. How did you block that?" he stammers. Han smirks, "It's simple. Really, if one's hardness is at the final stages of development, even something like this is no challenge. But alas, Tien, it's too late for you to understand." As Tien braces himself for another attack, Han suddenly vanishes from his sight. Tien's heart pounds as fear grips him. "Where is he?" he mutters, spinning around. Han's voice comes from behind him, calm and unyielding. "Now, let me show you true physical strength," Han says, stepping closer. He raises a fist. "Try blocking this." Before Tien can react, Han delivers a single, earth-shattering punch. Tien's agents are sent flying like ragdolls, and Tien himself is hurled to the ground, utterly defeated. Gasping for breath, Tien raises a trembling hand in surrender. You're superior," he admits, his voice shaking. Reaching into his robes, he pulls out a small yellow bag. "Take this. It's filled with treasures I've collected over the years. Please, spare me." Han snatches the bag, his expression unreadable. As he opens it, he comments, "So, this is the Qingquan bag. It seems to have everything I need." Tien begins to back away, muttering under his breath. Hatred glimmers in his eyes as he plots his revenge. "I'll find someone else to take care of you," he thinks. But before he can escape, Han's stern gaze freezes him in place. "Do you really think I'll let you live, knowing my true identity?" Han asks, his voice low and dangerous. Tien's confidence crumbles. No, I swear I won't tell anyone, he pleads. Desperation leaks from his every word. I come from a respected family. My brother, Long Lon, is a genius cultivator. Han cuts him off with a flick of his hand, hurling a small fireball at Tyan. The fireball grazes his skin, igniting it. Tyan cries out in pain but still manages to spit out a threat. My brother will avenge me, he screams. Han remains unfazed as the fireball grows, erupting into a massive explosion that leaves nothing of Tyan but ashes. Han stands amidst the silence, his mind turning to the Chinkuan bag. As he empties its contents onto the ground, a cascade of riches and spiritual items spills forth. His eyes widen slightly at the sheer volume. So much treasure, Han murmurs, shaking his head. How many lives did Tyan take to amass this fortune, only for it to fall into my hands so effortlessly? As he inspects the items, a purple glass bottle catches his attention. Picking it up, Han's curiosity peaks. Could it be? He whispers, opening the bottle. Suddenly, the entire sky lights up, confirming his suspicion. The 5-element seed, Han exclaims, awe lacing his voice. Soaked in Yenling liquid, this is exactly what I need to build the perfect foundation. Han realizes the immense value of the 5-element seed. Even most monks haven't heard of this. He muses, but this pales in comparison to the treasure called Antiob. Just then, Han's phone rings. He answers it to see Liang Shu on a video call, smiling brightly. Han, where have you been? Liang asks. I wouldn't have been able to contact you if I hadn't added your number. I've been practicing in the mountains. Han replies. What's going on? Liang's smile widens. Come to the top of the mountain. The Antiob treasure is about to appear, and you don't want to miss it. Oh, and good luck, there are monks everywhere. They've been here for 3 days. Han nods, determination flickering in his eyes. I'll try. Liang's voice crackles through the phone, urgency clear in his tone. Han, reach here as soon as possible. Han begins to move, but Liang stops him abruptly. Wait, don't hang up yet, Liang says, his voice serious. I need to tell you something important. Han pauses, curious. There's a list, Liang continues, called the Chi list. It contains the names of the young people of Southern Island City. Han, you should avoid meeting the people on that list. They're not ordinary. They're creatures with superpowers. Liang sends the list to Han's phone. As Han reviews it, his eyes narrow. At the very top of the list is Yun's name, followed closely by members of the Fong and Tian families. Interesting, Han mutters to himself. Their rapid improvement doesn't surprise him much. Slipping his phone into his pocket, Han smirks. Confidence radiates from him. I can handle them, he thinks, unless I encounter a monk who's past the foundation period, but that's unlikely. Feeling invincible, Han starts to walk away. By now, no one can stop me, he tells himself. Yet, deep down, he hopes the people on the Chi list won't give him too much time. He's eager to break through the foundation realm and reach the realm of Dan. Han plans to claim a piece of the Antiob treasure, wondering to himself, is someone waiting for me at the top? The scene shifts to Mount Taiwan Dainan, where cultivators have gathered in droves. Han arrives and immediately notices a massive, glowing yellow stone sitting in the center of the commotion. Its light is blinding, otherworldly. He overhears whispers among the crowd. Get ready to take the treasure. Han stares at the stone, curiosity piqued. What is this? He wonders. Looking around, he notices that the best positions near the stone are already occupied. His eyes land on Yun standing close to the stone. Yun, the one at the very top of the Chi list. Nearby, other major players are present. Yef, Zhenyu at the 8th rank, the God of War at the 3rd rank, and the Bull King at the 5th rank. Suddenly, Liang appears, waving energetically at Han. Hey, Han, he calls, walking up to him with a grin. You see all these cultivators? They've been waiting here for the treasure, but it won't be a problem for you, will it? After all, you've been practicing alone at the top of the mountain. Han nods slightly before asking, is that glowing stone a sacred treasure? I don't remember seeing it in my past life. Liang frowns thoughtfully. It's strange, isn't it? The stone has been glowing for almost a day now. According to the rumors, there's a treasure preserved inside it. It'll appear once the stone is broken open. Liang points toward Yun, Zhenyu, the God of War, and the Bull King. Those 4 are the only ones with advantageous positions. Since they're at the top of the Chi list, no one dares challenge them. Just then, the massive stone begins to crack. A sudden hush falls over the crowd before a wave of excitement erupts. cultivators shout to one another, pushing forward. Don't let the top cultivators take the treasure for themselves, someone yells. The crowd surges as one, determined to fight against the Big Four despite their strength. The Bull King steps forward, his presence a dark cloud of intimidation. Dare come close to the treasure, he growls, and I'll make sure none of you leave alive. Han watches the chaos unfold as Ling turns to him. Shouldn't we hurry up? He asks, looking anxious. Han raises a hand to stop him. Wait, he says calmly, I'll handle the glowing stone myself. As Han confidently steps toward the monument, the crowd parts slightly, and Yun turns, surprised to see him. Her gaze sharpens as Han examines the stone up close. There's nothing wrong with this monument, Han murmurs to himself. Yun steps forward. Han, you need to leave, she warns. You don't understand what you're getting into. The horrors of war will destroy you. Han chuckles, turning to face her. I agree, he says unexpectedly. I'll come back later. Without another word, Han walks away, leaving Yun puzzled and suspicious. He agreed so easily? She mutters to herself. What's he planning? Ling, equally confused, catches up to Han. Are you really leaving? Han stops and explains. The holy treasure isn't inside the stone monument. The stone is a bait. Haven't you noticed? The surrounding area has been completely destroyed. Something isn't right. Ling's eyes widen in shock. What? Yun watches Han's retreating figure, disbelief etched on her face. What's wrong with him? He's greedy and unafraid of death. How can he just walk away from the treasure? Han continues walking, a calm determination about him. The Jiasun Yao tree isn't nearby, he thinks, so where's the treasure hiding? Behind him, Ling chases after him, pleading, Han, stop, everyone is already here. You can't just leave like this. Meanwhile, Uncle Li approaches Zhenyu, his voice a low whisper. Now's the perfect time to make our move. Zhenyu nods, his gaze fixed on the chaos ahead, ready to seize the moment. Han halts suddenly, his eyes narrowing as he pieces something together. I'm missing something, he mutters to himself. He recalls a crucial detail. The Jiasun Mio tree is said to be part of the treasure, but its birth requires a special and rare opportunity. Han wonders, could this be the moment I've been waiting for? The sky suddenly darkens, cloaked by a red, shield-like object. Fear spreads among the cultivators as they sense something is terribly wrong. A winged cultivator attempts to fly out of the barrier, only to be struck midair and crash back to the ground. We're trapped inside this barrier, he exclaims, his voice trembling. Yunzi gasps in realization. It's Zhenyu. He used a powerful magical weapon to trap us all in his scheme. Suddenly, the ground trembles violently, splitting open to reveal a massive, missile-like weapon. The god of war and the Bull King freeze in shock as they recognize its destructive potential. A nuclear bomb? The god of war murmurs, disbelief etched across his face. Han's sharp eyes take in the weapon. It all clicks. The stone monument was a ruse, designed to lure every cultivator here. The barrier traps them inside, and now the nuclear bomb will ensure no one survives. This is all Zhenyu's doing, Han thinks grimly. The Jiasun Mio tree requires a tremendous amount of blood to emerge. That's why they spread fake rumors about the treasure. Zhenyu steps forward with a smug grin. Enjoying yourselves in my little trap? He sneers. You're all here to fulfill your purpose, to provide the blood needed to bring forth the Jiasun Mio tree. I'll claim it for myself, and none of you will live to see it. Terrified murmurs ripple through the crowd. The Feng family has gone insane. Someone cries. Cultivators beg for mercy, desperately pleading to be released. Zhenyu's expression darkens. Do you really think I'd let you go? He asks mockingly. The Feng family's magical weapon has already secured my plan. None of you are leaving alive. Gesturing to the nuclear bomb, Zhenyu smirks. This weapon will erase all of you. However, his tone shifts, laced with false kindness. If you swear loyalty to the Feng family and agree to serve us, I might let you live. But decide quickly, you have less than 5 minutes before the bomb detonates. His eyes settle on Yunzi, a cruel glint shining in them. Yunzi, he says smoothly, how are you holding up? I can make an exception for you. I'll let you out on one condition. Become my wife. Yunzi glares at him, disgust and fury burning in her eyes. You're overestimating yourself, Zhenyu, she spits. Do you think someone as vile as you is worthy of me? She pulls out her magical weapon, channeling her strength. Yunzi slashes at the barrier, but her attack is reflected, sending her tumbling backward. She coughs, blood staining her lips. and realizes with despair that the Fong family's barrier is far stronger than she anticipated. Zhenyu chuckles coldly. A waste of time, he taunts. You'll never break that barrier, but I'll give you one last chance. Spend the night with me, and I'll spare your life. Never, Yunzi screams. Her fury ignites her strength, and she launches another ferocious attack at the barrier. This time, a small crack appears. Her heart races with hope, but the crack begins to heal almost instantly. Yunzi coughs up more blood, realizing the barrier has self-healing capabilities. I have to act before it fully recovers, she thinks desperately, her determination blazing. Zhenyu smirks, watching her struggle. You have only 3 minutes left, Yunzi, he warns. Don't blame me for what happens next. Just then, Han arrives with Ling Shu, his presence calm yet commanding. He walks straight toward Zhenyu, who scowls at the sight of him. Well, Zhenyu sneers. You're lucky you weren't trapped with the others, Han, but if you're still here, you must have a death wish. Han smiles faintly, his tone relaxed. Don't misunderstand me, Zhenyu, I just have one question. Zhenyu's smug demeanor falters. What are you talking about? Han steps closer, his gaze sharp as steel. How did the Fong family know the Jiasen Neo tree requires blood sacrifices for its birth? A wave of fear ripples through the trapped cultivators. Gasps fill the air as the reality of their fate sets in. Zhenyu's expression twists with anger. Shut up, he yells. I don't owe you or anyone else an explanation. All of you just die already. Han glares at Zhenyu, his mind racing as he confirms his suspicions about the Fong family being anything but ordinary. However, fear doesn't cross his mind. Han is unshaken, convinced that no one can stand in his way. Zhenyu sneers and orders Uncle Lo to kill Han, stating he doesn't want to see him alive. Yunzi, overhearing Zhenyu's sinister intent, rushes to Han and urgently warns him about the danger. Her voice trembles as she pleads with him to escape, insisting that Uncle Li's cultivation is at its peak and he is far too powerful. You have to run, she urges, her eyes filled with worry. Han smirks and replies coolly, I didn't know the class monitor was paying such close attention to me. Despite her desperation, he assures her, don't worry, nothing is going to happen to me. But Yunzi's voice shakes with emotion. Don't be reckless, Han, this is no time to act brave. Get out of here and get help. Han smiles warmly, nodding slightly, as if agreeing to her request. However, Uncle Le steps forward, his voice dripping with menace. What's it going to be, boy? Will you take your own life, or do you need my assistance? His cold laughter fills the air. Spare yourself the pain, and I'll ensure your body remains intact. Ling Shu, watching the confrontation, suddenly clutches his chest and groans in pain. Han, this old man is too powerful. I can feel his strength, he admits, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. Han looks at him and chuckles lightly. Are you scared, Ling Shu? Ling shakes his head, determination blazing in his eyes. No, I'll stay with you no matter what. Han's smile widens as he pats Ling Shu on the shoulder. He then pulls out the rocket launcher he had acquired from Tian's belongings and hands it to Ling Shu. Here, take this, aim it at the enemy and fire. Let's see how they like modern warfare. Ling Shu looks at the weapon, initially hesitant, but seeing Han's unwavering confidence, he decides to trust him. Uncle Lu sneers at the sight of the rocket launcher, his tone mocking. You think a mere mortal weapon can scare me? Laughable. Without hesitation, Ling Shu fires the rocket directly at Uncle Lu. A deafening explosion follows, shaking the ground. Smoke and debris fill the air as Uncle Li's voice rises in outrage. How dare you humiliate me with such tricks? He roars, rising from the rubble with fury etched into his face. Ling Shu doesn't back down. You dare call this humiliation after you used a nuclear weapon against innocent people? He fires another rocket, the explosion even more intense than the last. Uncle Lu, now severely injured, stumbles to his knees, bloodied and disoriented. The cultivators watching are in shock, unable to believe that the fearsome Uncle Lu, who was at the pinnacle of cultivation, could be brought down so easily. Meanwhile, Yunzi stares at Han, her thoughts racing. How on earth did he come up with such a brilliant yet ruthless plan? Zhenyu, seeing Uncle Lu barely clinging to life, lets out an enraged scream. Han, you'll pay for this. I'll make sure you regret ever crossing my family. Before Zhenyu can act, Ling Shu fires yet another rocket, this time directly at him. The explosion sends Zhenyu flying, his face bloodied and his pride shattered. Ling Shu laughs, his confidence growing with each shot. You dare threaten Han? I'll destroy you with these weapons. Genyu's family rushes to his aid, horrified by the sight of their once powerful leader brought to his knees. But Ling Shu shows no mercy, firing rocket after rocket, forcing Genyu and Uncle Lu to the ground. As they struggle to breathe, Ling Shu towers over them and mocks, "Satisfied with the service? Or shall I fire a few more for you?" Genyu, overwhelmed and terrified, shouts in desperation, "Stop, I'm satisfied, please, no more rockets." Meanwhile, the cultivators trapped inside the barrier notice the countdown on the nuclear bomb nearing its final seconds. Panic spreads as they plead for Genyu to deactivate the weapon. Han steps forward, another rocket launcher in hand, and aims it directly at Genyu's face. His voice is calm but carries a deadly edge. "You have 5 seconds to disarm the bomb and release the cultivators. If you don't, you die." Genyu trembles, sweat pouring down his face. "Wait, let me explain," he stammers. Han doesn't flinch, instead stepping closer and shoving Genyu's face into the dirt. "No more excuses, disarm the bomb, now." Terrified, Genyu scrambles to pull out a glowing yellow talisman. He launches it into the sky, and the cultivators watch in awe as the magical barrier begins to dissolve. The trapped cultivators erupt in cheers of relief as the countdown halts, and the barrier finally disappears. Han steps back, his cold gaze fixed on Genyu. "That's better, don't make me count again." Cultivators become excited as the magic barrier opens up, and those with flying powers immediately start exiting the barrier as it opens from the top. Meanwhile, cultivators are scrambling over each other to escape. They shove past anyone in their way, while Yunzi breaks free and uses her lasso to help others escape. As the timer of the nuclear bomb hits 0, Terra grips the cultivator tightly as a massive explosion erupts, engulfing the surrounding area and turning it into a scene from hell. Yunzi and many others flee the barrier, but those left behind become victims of the blast. Ling stands frozen, disturbed by the sight of the casualties. He is unable to comprehend the extent of the destruction. "I can't believe so many people have lost their lives in just a few seconds," he mutters, his voice trembling. Standing next to him, a cultivator callously remarks, "The fallen were too weak to seize the holy treasure. They should have been prepared for death." Ling's eyes narrow, he points a finger at the man, his voice rising, "You lack sympathy. You would have died too if not for my intervention." The arrogant cultivator laughs, his tone dripping with disdain. "Weakness deserves no mercy. Unlike them, I am strong, and I will claim the treasure. Not even Ling Shu or Han will stop me. Soon, the Geosan tree will rise, fueled by the blood of these sacrifices." Suddenly, another explosion shakes the ground. Yunzi, standing with Han and the Bull King, tenses as the fiery display dissipates, revealing a colossal, frog-like creature. "What is that thing?" Yunzi whispers, her voice tinged with awe. All eyes are drawn to a shining object on the monster's head. Realization dawns, it's the awaited treasure they've been fighting for. Han stares at the monster, his fists clenched. "Gioso, it's finally appeared," he murmurs to himself. Memories flood his mind. "In my previous life, even the Emperor had to fight this creature to obtain the holy treasure. They don't even understand its real value." The monster stands silently, but impatience overtakes two cultivators. They charge forward, unleashing their superpowers to claim the treasure. Yunzi steps forward too, her determination evident, but Han grabs her wrist. "Don't go," he commands. "Let me go," Yunzi demands, trying to break free, but Han's grip tightens. Suddenly, several drones appear, accompanied by a menacing voice, "Kill anyone in your way." The Bull King and Silverwing freeze in shock. "Those drones belong to our boss," the Bull King exclaims. "Why is he here?" Silverwing asks, confused. "The treasure must be far more valuable than we thought." Ling Shu turns to Han, his voice grim. "Shanwu is a major tech company with considerable power. I never expected them to get involved." The Bull King and Silverwing, they've been recruited by the company. Moments later, Konger, the company's boss, arrives, his drones swarming around him. "Kill the monster," he commands. The drones unleash a relentless barrage of missiles, causing a massive explosion. The monster takes heavy damage, but it still stands, its form charred yet defiant. Han watches, his mind racing. "These missiles, they're far stronger than mine. I'll have to contend with the company too." Konger's voice booms, filled with anger. "And no one will claim my treasure." He glares at Yunzi, Han, and Ling. "Bull King, Silverwing, kill all three of them." Immediately, Silverwing tells Yunzi that she can leave, as his boss has arrived. and the treasure belongs to him alone. Yunzi draws her weapon and declares, "I will fight you to the end," refusing to leave, confident in his abilities. Silverwing smirks and tells the Bull King, "Leave her to me, you handle the others." The Bull King clenches his fists in a show of power and responds, "Let's demonstrate our great strength to these fools." The Bull King begins attacking the cultivators present, while Cheng and Lin Lin run for their lives. Ling Shu, gripping his rocket launcher tightly, aims at the Bull King, wondering nervously, can this even hurt him? He fires a rocket, but the Bull King takes the hit unfazed. Laughing mockingly, the Bull King shouts, "Did you really think I'm as weak as Jinu? These rockets are nothing to me. My defense is the strongest." Ling becomes terrified and immediately shouts to Han, "The rockets are useless. The Bull King's defense is impenetrable." Han turns to him, his voice calm yet firm, and says, "Run away." Ling freezes in shock. "What?" Han repeats, "If you can't defeat him, then run." Without hesitation, Ling turns and flees. The Bull King advances toward Han, his voice booming, "You're lucky, boy. You'll die by my fist a painless death." Han smirks and replies, "I think the opposite." They both throw punches, and the impact is earth-shattering. Han's punch connects with such immense force that the Bull King's arm shatters. The Bull King is sent flying, and Han calmly states, "You're unlucky to face me." Ling, still running, pauses and turns back, his eyes widening in disbelief. The Bull King is on the ground? What just happened? The Bull King, struggling to stand, mutters in disbelief, "Impossible. My arm, broken by a single punch? My defense is unmatched." Meanwhile, Yunzi and Silverwing are locked in combat. Yunzi declares, "This fight is almost over." Swinging her sword, she slashes Silverwing's hand, causing him to stagger and bleed. Silverwing coughs blood, finally accepting his defeat. You've been hiding your strength." Yunzi smirks, "I wasn't hiding anything. You are just too weak to witness my full power." Suddenly, Kwang steps forward, his eyes fixed on Yunzi. "And what do you think of me?" Yunzi replies evenly, "I know who you are, the first leader of Shan Wu. You've reached the final stage of foundation building, and after Shan Wu's body transformation, your strength matches the Danny stage." Kwang chuckles, impressed, "You seem well informed. I'll give you a chance, run away. I don't want to kill you." Yunzi's gaze hardens, "I know you're strong, the strongest I've ever met, but I won't run. I'll fight you to the end." Kwang shakes his head, "You don't even know the basics." He steps forward and warns, "Don't blame me, I gave you a chance." With a swift motion, he throws a powerful punch, but Yunzi dodges just in time. Her heart races, his power, it's immense. Yunzi tries to counterattack with her magical powers, but Kwang overpowers her and throws her aside with a single punch. Turning back to the monster, Kwang orders his drones, "Attack it." The drones fire relentlessly at the creature. Han watches the assault and thinks grimly, "Fools, the monster will only get angry." They don't realize its power. The monster, glowing ominously, compresses energy before unleashing a massive flame attack. It obliterates the drones, and Kwang grits his teeth in frustration. "5 of my helicopters destroyed," he mutters. "This creature, it's not ordinary." Turning to Yunzi, Kwang declares, "You may be strong, but you're nothing compared to me." Charging at her, he transforms into a more powerful form. Yunzi's eyes widen in shock. His strength, it's beyond comprehension. As Kwang moves to strike, the monster intervenes, attacking Kwang with its massive tongue. Yunzi stares in horror as the monster begins glowing brightly. Han, observing the scene, realizes it's preparing a direct attack. He seizes the moment, pushing Yunzi aside. "I won't miss this opportunity." Yunzi gasps as Kwang's attack misses her. Kwang snarls, "Han, are you crazy? I used all my power." To everyone's shock, the monster strikes again, pulling Han into its mouth with its tongue. Ling cries out in despair, "Han, no!" Yunzi freezes, her mind racing. "If it weren't for him, I would have been eaten." Kwang, visibly shaken, attempts to attack the monster. Why is my strength useless against this creature?" His voice trembles. This shouldn't be possible." The monster's defense is so strong that Han fears his hand might get damaged by attacking it. Meanwhile, Jinu's father, sits in his room, confident that the Fong family will soon be in power, despite knowing the people of Nanda City would oppose him. Suddenly, a servant enters the room and informs him that the young master, his son, Jinu, was attacked while carrying out his plan. Jenna is shocked by the news and demands, Is UNC not with Jinu? No one could defeat him. He then asks, is the attacker a powerful master? The servant explains that Jinu was attacked by two young men with rockets. The rockets are extremely powerful. Furious, Jenna orders him, send a force immediately. The treasure must not fall into someone else's hands. He also commands, send a party to deal with the two boys who attacked my son. If I fail to secure the treasure, my master will destroy our entire family. 3 days later, in the middle of a dense forest, the giant monster stops, opens its mouth, and spits Han onto the ground. Han, covered in the monster's disgusting stomach fluids, mutters, finally, I've escaped. 3 days, I narrowly avoided being dissolved along with its food. As the giant creature leaves, Han reflects, it's invincible. No other cultivator can defeat it. He concludes, the only way to obtain the holy treasure is to be swallowed by it. Looking at his hand, he acknowledges, Yunzi would have taken the treasure if I hadn't seized the opportunity. Suddenly, the treasure begins to glow. Han realizes, finally, the holy treasure is mine. In the park, Han ponders his suspicion that Yunzi is hiding her real identity. As he tries to consume the treasure, he acknowledges, there isn't much time to dwell on this. Han recalls that in his previous life, Yunzi was killed, and the 9-branch treasure tree was stolen. He remembers, after Yunzi's death, the 9-branch tree ended up in the hands of Emperor Zoom. Han reasons, there's no way Yunzi can hide her identity using the tree's abilities, and I've saved her life in this life. She's unlikely to be killed without the 9-branch tree. He reflects, the tree is magical, even the Emperor couldn't fully understand it. Determined, Han decides to visit a stone tablet he found that can defy the natural order. He resolves, I'll wait for the tree to bloom and bear fruit. Knowing the tree holds a vast amount of qi, he feels fortunate that his qi has recovered to the initial stage. At Qinbei University, Han walks to his school, thinking, I should start looking for law. He plans to begin at the university where he met her in his past life. Qinbei University, one of the top schools in China, is bustling with students. As Han strides across campus, students stare at him, clearly surprised. He ignores their reactions and keeps walking. A few moments later, Han enters his classroom. His classmates freeze, then lose their minds upon seeing him. Han, what? They exclaim. Han asks calmly, what happened? Why are you all staring at me like that? Suddenly, the students scream and run away, shouting, he's alive. Han is back. 10 minutes later, Han speaks with Yunzi. Wait, are you saying there's a video of me being swallowed by a giant toad? And it went viral? Yunzi silently nods. She tells him, after the toad swallowed you, it disappeared. Now, everyone is looking for you and the toad. Han replies, I already know. He begins to walk away. Yunzi stops him. Why did you save me that day? Han responds, because we're classmates. It's right to help each other. Yunzi offers, I can recommend you to the L family. With their protection, no one in Nanda City would dare bother you. Han shakes his head. I understand, but no one has the strength to trouble me. He thinks, the L family isn't shameless. Yunzi hasn't asked about the toad or the 9-branch tree. Yunzi advises, don't be so strong-willed. The treasure tree isn't a minor treasure. Major families in the city will question you about it. Han turns to her and declares, anyone who troubles me, no matter how strong, they'll die. Outside the school, several flashy cars screech to a stop outside the school. Jinna steps out with Uncle Lee, his face twisted in anger. Han, Jinnu yells. Han steps forward calmly. What do you need? Jinnu shouts. Compensation. My subordinate isn't dead yet. He recalls. At Gingshir Canyon, 3 days ago, you and that boy, Ling Shu holding rocket launchers. Jinnu sneers. You even threatened to mince me up and feed me to dogs. Apologize now. Han remains unfazed and inquires, have you found Ling Shu yet? Han thinks that Ling Shu, being the type of person he is, should have contacted him by now. He wonders if Ling Shu is in some kind of trouble. Jinnu dismisses Han's concern, telling him, worry about yourself instead. He threatens to beat Han up for disrespecting the Fong family, adding with a sneer, you're not even holding the rocket launcher anymore. The students around them start gossiping, recognizing Jinnu as a member of the Fong family known for their cultivation prowess. Even before the awakening of the aura, they realize Han is in serious trouble, as Jinnu is on the rapid advancement candidate list. Jinnu, with a sly smile, offers Han a final chance to avoid being labeled a bully. Reveal every detail about the incident when you got swallowed by the giant toad. He demands, and I'll spare your life. Han is unimpressed. He asks coldly, "Why are you talking so much? Face me like a man." The heated argument catches the attention of the professor, who arrives and demands an explanation. Fighting is prohibited on school premises, he reminds them sternly. Uncle Lu tries to dismiss the professor, sneering, "You're interfering in Fong family matters." The professor, undeterred, asserts, "School discipline must be maintained at all costs." Towering over Uncle Lu, he points out, "You don't look like a student. Leave immediately, or I'll call security." Uncle Lu snaps, "You dare speak to me like that? Are you really going to call security against me?" Without a word, the professor lands a powerful kick to Uncle Lee's belly, sending him flying. "Troublesome old man," the professor calls out. Uncle Lu collapses on the floor, groaning, as the students begin murmuring excitedly, "The new professor is so strong." One whispers, "I'm ready to worship his kick." Some students start speculating, Han must have reached the professor's level in terms of strength. Han, watching, thinks to himself, "He's quite a powerful teacher. Must have dragons and crouching tigers." The professor addresses the students. "Don't learn from people like Uncle Lu," he says firmly. "They lack discipline. I want my students to become positive and eager for knowledge. Be friendly towards each other. Don't promote violence." Then, he commands, "Get back to your work." Turning to Jinnu, he asks, "Are you done?" The professor turns to leave, but Jinnu stops him. "I'm ready to respect the rules of the school." Jinnu says smoothly, "As you said, students are not allowed to fight inside the school." But, he smirks, "I want to challenge Han to a fight in the school arena." While speaking, Jinnu thinks to himself, "Even Uncle Lu couldn't take down this professor. He's an obstacle in my way." Jinnu turns to Han and asks, "Are you willing to accept my challenge? Or will you refuse and show everyone you're a coward?" Jinnu knows that Han has suffered a lot from enemies, so he wants to see if Han will be able to fight him. The professor calmly tells Han, "The challenge made by Jinnu is in line with the rules. You can reject it if you want." He reassures Han, "No one is going to force you to accept the challenge while within the school premises." Jinnu becomes frustrated upon hearing this. Sneering, he tells Han, "You can cry and kneel if you want to reject the challenge. I'll let you go and take my words back if you submit." Han, unfazed, responds coolly, "If it's a challenge, you should put something on the line." As his right eye begins to glow, he asks, "Are you willing to gamble with me?" Jinnu, narrowing his eyes, retorts, "Are you sure you want to make a bet with me? What do you want to bet on?" Han replies confidently, "I want to bet on the crystal staff your family used the other day at Gingshir Canyon to trap the cultivators and acquire the treasure." Han adds, "If I win, I keep the staff. If I lose, I'll be at the disposal of the Fong family." Jinnu, startled, starts to wonder, how does Han know about the treasure? Outsiders only know that the Fong family possesses a defensive artifact, but these details? Han smirks and teases, "If you're not willing to bet, kneel before me and call me your grandfather, and I'll cancel it." Jinnu's face flushes with anger. "Do you really think I'm unwilling to bet with you?" He snaps, declaring loudly, "I'm ready to bet my family's treasure in your life as well." Turning to the professor, Jinnu says, "You'll be our witness." Han turns to the teacher and nods, "I want you to witness this bet." The professor agrees, and moments later, in the school's indoor sports stadium, Han and Jinnu stand facing each other. The students gossip loudly around them. One of them mutters, "Jinnu has been cultivating since his childhood. Han doesn't stand a chance." Another scoffs, "Han is such an arrogant brat. I hope Jinnu beats him to death." One student begins recording the fight, thinking, "I might gain fame from this." Meanwhile, Han approaches Jinnu and asks casually, "What about the crystal staff?" Jinnu sneers, "Do you really think you'll win? Are you suggesting the Fong family won't keep its word?" Han shrugs, "I believe the Fong family might step back from its promise. I refuse to accept this challenge unless the crystal staff is brought here." Jinnu grits his teeth in frustration. "Fine, I'll send someone to fetch the staff," he adds, glaring, "I won't consider Fong as my surname until I've beaten you and made you beg for mercy." Han replies smoothly, "You can use any surname you want, but don't use mine." Jinnu's face contorts with rage, "You're getting more arrogant with every word," he snarls. The professor steps in, raising his voice, "Han, Jinnu, don't break school rules before the challenge begins." Jinnu smirks, "I'll let you live for a few more moments." 20 minutes later, the stadium doors swing open. The head of the Fong family, Long's family elder Quang, and Yunzi enter the arena, leaving the students stunned. "They're here," a student gasps. Another whispers, "Influential figures from powerful families." At the same time, the students begin speculating nervously. The nine-branch tree's location is still unknown. What if Han is the one in touch with the treasure? Han might be in danger. Someone murmurs, "These powerful figures must be here for the holy treasure." Jinwoo turns to Han, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Can we start our fight now?" The crystal staff is finally in Han's sight, but he calmly states, "I have one last request." Jinwoo, visibly angry, snaps, "Are you trying to delay the fight?" Han, unfazed, explains, "I want the crystal staff to be handed to the teacher. I fear the Fong family might pull some tricks on me." Jinwoo immediately protests, "I won't allow my family's treasure to fall into someone else's hands," he shouts. Despite Jinwoo's objections, his father steps forward and hands the crystal staff to the teacher. The teacher can hold it for a few moments, he says. Jinwoo's father then turns to the combatants, smiling, "I wish both of you a good fight on the stage," he says. "Finish it quickly. I want to invite Han to the Fong family as a guest." Privately, Jinwoo's father is confident. Jinwoo is at the last stage of the foundation level, while Han is just a commoner who recently awakened his abilities. The hype around this fight is absurd. He smirks, thinking, Jinwoo will defeat Han in seconds. There's no way I'll have to hand over the crystal staff to a commoner. Still, his interest lies in Han's knowledge. After this fight, I'll force him to reveal what he knows about the treasure tree. The teacher steps forward, raising the crystal staff high in the air. The challenge has officially started, he announces. Jinwoo removes his arm plaster, exuding confidence. "Now, I'll show you the secret fist technique of the Fong family." The students gasp, their excitement rising. "He's going to use the Fong family's secret technique," one exclaims. Meanwhile, Yunzi grows anxious, her brow furrowed. "That technique is reserved for the most critical situations, or to kill." Jinwoo lunges toward Han, moving with precision and speed. Han, however, remains still, his expression calm and unreadable. The students start whispering nervously, "Why isn't Han moving?" Yunzi's heart pounds. Is he overwhelmed by Jinwoo's skills? Jinwoo delivers a swift and precise strike toward Han's chest, his punch aimed with deadly accuracy. But Han doesn't budge. Unfazed, he absorbs the technique effortlessly. "My iron body," Han reminds himself, "isn't just about absorbing the blood essence of beasts, it's about enduring endless, real-life challenges." Jinwoo stumbles back, his eyes widening in shock. How is this possible? The students murmur in disbelief. Could Han be a defensive cultivator? One wonders aloud. But how could anyone withstand that technique? Another argues. Jinwoo regains his composure and sneers. "Defense alone won't help you," he says. "My fist technique doesn't rely on brute strength." With a sudden shift, small, controlled explosions ripple through Han's body. Han's eyes narrow slightly, realizing, this is the essence of the Fong family's secret technique, the way they use it to kill opponents. Jinwoo smirks, explaining with pride, "The hidden force of this technique is designed to interact with a cultivator's meridians." Han's body responds to the technique, but he remains silent, observing the intricate energy patterns. Jinwoo steps forward again, his voice dripping with venom. "I won't stop until you're begging for mercy. I'll make you kneel before me." As he advances, his father watches, smugly certain, this contest is over. Jinwoo has successfully mastered the true essence of our secret technique. But to everyone's surprise, Han speaks calmly. "You're naive," he says. With a sudden, fluid motion, Han tightly grabs Jinwoo's arm and skillfully throws him to the ground. Jinwoo's father stands in shock, his eyes wide as he sees his son sprawled on the ground despite using the Fong family's secret technique. Yunzi realizes the truth, the technique has failed to deliver any damage to Han. Kwang's gaze sharpens as he watches Han. This boy, he's not as simple as he seems, he thinks. Memories of their encounter at Jingshi Canyon resurface. Han's actions that day weren't just coincidence. The ground beneath Han bears the marks of his immense force, shattered and torn apart. Jinwoo, struggling to rise, gasps, How is it possible? Why isn't the hidden power of the technique affecting you?" Jinwoo's father steps in, his tone measured but tense. "Han's body is extraordinarily resilient," he explains. "His strength levels haven't diminished even after enduring such a powerful technique." He narrows his eyes at his son. "Don't engage in close contact. Use the special pill of the Fong family." Jinwoo's lips curl into a sly smile. "You've forced me to do this. He snarls, pulling out a glowing golden pill from his coat. He holds it up, the light shimmering ominously. I'll make you regret your very existence. The students watching erupt into outrage, their voices a cacophony of protests. That's cheating, one yells. The Fong family is disgracing themselves. They know the truth. The pill temporarily boosts the consumer's cultivation level, giving an unfair advantage. Unbothered by the protests, Genyu smirks and swallows the pill. This is the secret treasure of my family, he declares. Instantly, his cultivation level surges, his aura doubling in strength, reaching the peak of foundation power. Genyu lets out a triumphant laugh. This feeling, this power, it's exhilarating. Genyu's father interrupts, his voice sharp. Stop wasting time. Do the challenge and bring Han to our home. We need him to reveal the secrets of the treasure he's hiding. Han, calm and calculating, observes Genyu carefully. Time is limited, he thinks, and the side effects of that pill are severe. I have to act quickly. Genyu's aura grows bloody and murderous, his rage consuming him. You're nothing but an ant before me, he roars. Yunzi and Kwang recoil slightly, startled by the sheer intensity of Genyu's presence. The air itself feels heavy, his evil energy threatening to crush anyone in its path. The students whisper nervously, some hoping, I just hope Han doesn't get beaten to death. Others grimly predict, at least a few of his bones and ribs are definitely going to break. Han, however, remains composed, his eyes gleam with determination. Genyu might have been a challenge before, but now, I have the 9-branch treasure tree. He knows its power. The tree can absorb any energy under the sky to help it grow. Han channels its abilities, drawing upon its strength to absorb the evil energies flooding the air. Genyu's expression twists in confusion. What's happening? He thinks frantically. His power, so overwhelming just moments ago, begins to drain away. Why? Why am I weakening? He shouts, panic creeping into his voice. He's at the peak of foundation building level, yet his strength is vanishing with every passing second. Desperate and enraged, Genyu screams at Han, die! He lunges forward, forming a huge, sharp claw from his evil energy, aiming directly for Han. But Han stands unfazed. His treasure tree continues to absorb the malevolent energy, its roots unseen but powerful, pulling every ounce of force from the attack. The claw disintegrates mid-air as the treasure tree completely absorbs its energy. Genyu freezes, his eyes wide with disbelief. Genyu's face pales, his shock deepening as each of his attacks fails against Han. Is there a problem with the secret pill? He wonders desperately. He feels the energy within his body being hollowed out, his strength slipping away. What's happening? Genyu's father, watching from the sidelines, feels a chill run down his spine. How can this be? He thinks, shaken to his core. The Fong family's secret technique, it's failing. Suddenly, Genyu lets out a strangled groan, clutching his head as an intense headache racks his body. He collapses to his knees, his trembling hands gripping the ground. His father's eyes widen in realization. The side effects of the pill, they're appearing earlier than expected. Han calmly approaches the struggling Genyu, his expression a mixture of pity and dominance. Taking that pill must have been painful, Han says, his voice cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. He steps closer and, with calculated precision, strikes the back of Genyu's hand with the side of his fist. Genyu's body stiffens for a moment before going completely limp. He collapses onto the floor, lying flat on his back, unconscious. Han raises his hand, his voice steady and unwavering. I have won the fight, he announces. The stadium falls into a stunned silence before erupting in murmurs. The students exchange wide-eyed looks. How did Han win so easily? One whispers. Genyu was supposed to be invincible with that pill. Another mutters. Han must be incredibly strong. Someone else speculates. A few wonder aloud if Genyu's strange behavior was caused by the pill's side effects, but no one can deny Han's overwhelming presence. Han walks over to the teacher, his steps deliberate and confident. According to the bet, the crystal staff belongs to me. I've won the match. The teacher nods and raises the staff, ready to hand it over. But before he can, Genyu's father steps forward. Wait, he barks. The staff is the treasure of the Fong family. It will not be given away. Han turns to him, his gaze steady. Are you trying to pull some trick on me? Genyu's father's eyes narrow. You arrogant fool. Do you really think the staff is that easy to acquire? You didn't even use your own powers to defeat my son, he accuses. The Fong family does not accept this result as final. Han glances at the teacher, his expression calm but questioning. What are we supposed to do? He asks. If the Fong family backs out of its agreement? The teacher's face hardens. The bet was made, and Zhenyu lost. The crystal staff belongs to you. The Fong family cannot deny the results. Zhenyu's father clenches his fists, his frustration boiling over. Who are you to decide for the Fong family? He demands, his voice thunderous. Return the staff now. His eyes burn with fury. I won't give you a second chance. Kwang and On exchange knowing looks, their expressions unreadable. Han is too naive, they think, too foolish to believe he can take the treasure of the Fong family just by winning a single match. On smirks. The Fong family is showing mercy by not killing him, he murmurs to himself. Yunzi, frowning, mutters under her breath. Han should have never asked for the staff in the first place. He's dragged the teacher into this mess. The teacher remains resolute. He turns to Han and says, as a witness to the bet, I have a duty to hand the staff over to you. His voice sharpens. The Fong family has no right to back out of this agreement. He places the staff into Han's hands. Zhenyu's father's face twists with rage. It seems you can't understand human language. He roars. You dare to defy me? Without hesitation, he raises his hand and shoots a beam of crackling, violent energy directly at the teacher. The air hums with tension as the energy surges forward. But the teacher, calm and unshaken, lifts a single finger. A beam of energy, brighter and far more powerful, erupts from his fingertip, cutting through the air like a blade. It collides with Zhenyu's father's attack, pushing it back effortlessly. The beam slams into Zhenyu's father, sending shockwaves through the room. Gasps ripple through the crowd. The teacher's voice cuts through the chaos, firm and commanding. Do not test me. The students are surprised to see the teacher defeat the head of the Fong family with such ease. Zhenyu's father is lying on the ground, asking the teacher if he is even human, and why he is just a teacher. Han looks at his teacher and says to himself that the teacher is not an ordinary person, but the best teacher in the north and one of the former powerhouses of the government. The teacher has become a teacher due to some objectives and is feared by anyone who knows spirit power. He has also won many battles for the government, and the head of the Fong family failed to identify his power, mistaking him for an ordinary teacher, and getting humbled quickly. The teacher smiles and tells everyone that he is the invincible Kian. Quine becomes surprised to hear his words as he recognizes him as the best master of Chibe. He immediately stands up, out of respect, and greets Kian, saying that he is the head of Xian Wu Technologies and has met him before. Kian asks Zhenyu's father if he has anything to say, but he humbly refuses and apologizes for not recognizing him. However, in his heart, he says to himself that he will never forget the disrespect, as the treasure of his family has gone into someone else's hands. Kian announces Han as the winner as the opponent has nothing to say, and tells Han to inform him immediately if someone dares to trouble him, as it is against the rules of the school. Han thanks Kian for his help, and the students become surprised to see them, as all of them start to discuss the strength of Kian that has been revealed to everyone. Kian tells the students to leave the place as the fight has ended and says that they must think about what lessons they have learned from spectating the fight. He taunts the Fong family and tells the students that they must keep the promises they make, as it makes them trustworthy, while Zhenyu's father gets carried away by his guards. Zhenyu's father tells Han that he might be invincible at the school, but he must not step outside. Zhenyu asks him how he can give their family's treasure to a kid like Han. Zhenyu's father becomes angry and tells him that he will lecture him at home for embarrassing him and the family in front of everyone. Han steps forward and asks Han if he remembers him, prompting Han to focus on him. After a moment, he recalls the person he met before and asks On if he's related to Ban since they look alike. On confirms that he looks like Ban because he's his twin brother. Han then recalls that Ban mentioned a brother named Long On. On gets upset and asks how Han dares to take his brother's name and demands to know why he treated his brother that way. Han explains that Ban confronted him first, so he had to defend himself. On is still upset. He tells Han that he doesn't respect his bravery and claims he can handle many like him at once. He tells Han to remember his name and walks away, saying he will be transferred to the same school the next day and that it will be an important day. Yunzi joins Han and asks if he really met Ban. Han thinks to himself that after acquiring the Fong family's treasure, he now has to deal with the Long family. Yunzi tells Han that other than the Fong family, the Long family is also significant. She mentions that Long Ling Tian and Long Wei Tian are the real notable figures. She explains that Long Ling Tian started cultivating long before the world changed in the Long family's cultivation room, and after the world changed, rumors spread about eating the sacred apple to increase one's cultivation. Yunzi says that although Ling Tian hasn't participated in Qing's rankings, she's sure he would easily reach the top if he ever chose to participate. Han looks at her, thanks her for reminding him, and says that he's actually looking forward to facing opponents from the Long family. Han heads into the locker. Han enters the room with the intention of changing his clothes, but he's unexpectedly followed by Kwang. Kwang, in a rare moment of sincerity, says, "I admire your resilience. You survived a direct confrontation with Zhenyu. Not many can claim that. I can bring you special cultivation fruits. Join my Xian Wu company." Han's response is cold and cutting. "No." Kwang attempts to reassure him. "Wait, I mean no harm. You must see the precariousness of your situation. You've angered both the Fong and Long families. They're powerful, too powerful for someone like you to handle alone." Offering a solution, Kwang steps closer. "Join us, Han. The Xian Wu company can protect you against those families." Han, however, remains unmoved. His tone is firm. "I said no." Kwang's expression hardens. "Han, don't be a fool. You have no idea what you're up against. Don't bite off more than you can chew." Han glares at him. "Stay out of my affairs." Kwang's voice lowers. "Warning, fine, but watch yourself outside the school. You've already managed to offend the Long and Fong families. Do you really want to provoke the Xian Wu company with our numerous killing methods?" Han steps closer. "Who are you to threaten me?" Kwang's composure snaps. "I'll break every bone in your body, throw you into a pit of fire, and force you to reveal the treasure tree." In an unexpected move, Han responds with a swift slap to Kwang's face. The sound reverberates through the room. Kwang falls to the floor. Han glares down at him, his voice icy. "You talk too much." Kwang immediately scrambles to his feet, his face red with fury. "Do you want to die?" He lunges forward, ready to retaliate. But before he can act, Yunzi steps in, her voice calm yet commanding. "Kwang, stop. Remember the teachings of Kaiyan. The school's rules forbid this." Her intervention halts the escalating conflict. The tension lingers in the air as Kwang seethes, but he doesn't dare defy her. Frustrated, Kwang gets up and backs away, his voice venomous. "Watch out, Han." As Kwang walks off, Yunzi turns to Han. "You've managed to offend all the major families in the city, except mine." Kwang pauses mid-step, turning back with a smirk. "Han, are you friends with Ling Shu?" Han's eyes narrow. "What have you done to him?" Kwang's smirk deepens. "Nothing, yet, but who knows what will happen by the time I return." He chuckles darkly. "Meet me at the entrance of the southern cave tomorrow. If you don't show up, you can prepare to bring your friend's corpse home." Yunzi, concerned, looks at Han. Kwang's power is no joke. He has strong support. Han nods, his resolve unshaken. "I know, I might not return if I go, but I believe in my luck." He looks at her and adds, "Don't worry about me. I'll confront his entire company if I have to." After a pause, he continues, "I'd like to invite your family to join me." Yunzi sighs. "I can ask my father, but I'll tell you now, we won't guarantee your safety. My family has fought against Kwang's technology before, we know how dangerous it is." Han clarifies, "I don't want your family to help me directly. Instead, I want to give them a significant gift." Yunzi raises an eyebrow. "A gift? What valuable thing do you have in mind?" Han doesn't answer. He turns and starts walking away. "I'll talk to your family later. I have a few things to do." Before leaving, he adds, "Speak with your family's head about helping me." Yunzi crosses her arms. "You need to be clearer with your words, Han. And don't forget, I haven't agreed to help you yet." Han heads to the broadcasting room of his school, a place filled with memories of his past life. Back then, he had worked here when he was poor. Now, it's the perfect place to practice cultivation. No one ever comes here. Pulling out a crystal staff, Han mutters to himself, "I need to break this, to get the crystal inside." With a swift motion, he shatters the staff. A shiny crystal emerges, catching the light. He holds it up, admiring its beauty. Why was this placed inside the staff? He wonders aloud. He carefully places the crystal into a bottle he got from Tian. His mind races. There must be more crystals like this, in the possession of major families like Lu, Fong, or Long. Preparing to meet the L family, Han empties the bag he had acquired from Tian. Ordinary weapons spill onto the ground. He looks at them critically. These aren't very valuable, but they can be disassembled and forged into something better. Using the strongest forging art he knows, Han melts the weapons into molten metal. He works tirelessly, shaping it with precision and care. Finally, He creates a cauldron, but the effort leaves him utterly drained. Wiping sweat from his brow, Han reflects on his past life. Back then, people called him the Pillmaster for creating something extraordinary, the heavenly elixir. With the cauldron now complete, he readies himself to forge pills once again. The next day, Han is walking when his phone rings. He stops, wondering, who could be calling me? Checking the screen, he sees it's Lao, currently at Chin B University. Han answers the call. Hello? La greets him warmly. Han, how are you? He smiles faintly. I'm fine, what about you? She thanks him enthusiastically. I'm doing great, thanks to you. Visiting that nearby mountain was the best advice you ever gave me. La then reveals, I've joined Chin B University. Han pauses, surprised. Really? How did you manage that? He speculates silently. She must have impressed a high official, or maybe even a university supervisor. LA's tone becomes more serious. Han, who are you? And, what's your motive? Han panics for a moment but quickly regains his composure, not wanting to reveal his rebirth. He responds carefully. It's just me, Han. Don't worry, I'll join you at the university soon. I'll explain everything then. After a moment's hesitation, La agrees. Fine, I'll wait for you. She ends the call. As soon as the call ends, an old man, accompanied by several boys, approaches La. The old man, revealed to be the principal of Hua, takes her luggage. His face lights up with joy. La, it's so good to see you. La blushes, embarrassed. Principal, you shouldn't carry my luggage. The principal shakes his head, smiling warmly. Nonsense, you're one of my best disciples. Behind them, the boys whisper among themselves, astonished. Is she, the principal's illegitimate child? One of them murmurs. It has to be, why else would he treat her like this? Another adds. Meanwhile, outside the Liu family residence that night, Yunzi stands alone, wondering, why hasn't Han arrived yet? She starts worrying that he might be in trouble, fully aware that the city's powerful figures are keeping a close eye on him. Suddenly, a Rolls-Royce stops in front of her house. Han steps out, walking toward her with an air of confidence. Yunzi, visibly anxious, immediately warns him, Han, I've invited all the family elders, including my father, for this meeting. Please, don't pull any pranks. If you do, my father will scold me to death. Han smiles reassuringly and says calmly, put your heart at ease. Yunzi, remember the big gift I promised for your family? Reluctantly, Yunzi takes Han inside the house. Standing before her father, she announces, Father, Han has arrived. The room falls silent. All the elders exchange surprised glances, baffled that Yunzi has invited a mere student into their prestigious home. Without greeting anyone, Han declares boldly, my friend has been kidnapped by Kwang. I need the help of the celestial member of the Liu family to save him. Yunzi is speechless, stunned by Han's audacity. He hasn't even bothered to greet anyone from her family. One elder frowns and asks sharply, do you not think it's too much to be invited to our house and immediately start making demands? The head of the family clears his throat and addresses Han. We've received news that Kwang has hired elites and even invited Xian Tian Xiao, the best master of the Xian Wu company. The Liu family is already an enemy of that company. Fighting for you, Han, would cause such damage to our family, we wouldn't recover for a long time. Do you even understand what you're asking for? Do you know what a celestial master is? The head's voice grows heavier. A celestial member is a rare entity. Even the South Island doesn't have a single celestial master. Han meets his gaze, unwavering. I understand your family's problems, but the celestial member can hold back the strongest master of the Xian Wu company. I don't want anything bad to happen to my friend. I know the Liu family has a celestial member, you're the only ones on the South Island who do. An old man suddenly rises, glaring at Han. How dare you speak such nonsense? There is no celestial member in this household. If we had one, do you think the Liu family would be threatened by the Xian Wu company? Do you think we'd just sit back? We'd have killed their members already. Yunzi nods in agreement, her voice firm. Han, stop talking nonsense. I've never heard of a celestial member in my family. Han, unfazed, dismisses their objections with a wave of his hand. The head of the family must know best about such matters. The head of the family looks at Han, his expression turning serious. Where does this boy come from? He wonders, how does he know so much about us? The old man presses, his tone sharp. Head, is he telling the truth, or is this just more nonsense? The head finally speaks. his voice steady but grave. Han is telling the truth. The Lu family does have a celestial member. Gasps ripple through the room. The old man's face twists in disbelief. What? Who is it? Is it Yunzi? She's already at a high level of cultivation. After all, I've never heard of this celestial member before. The head stands, commanding the room's attention. The celestial member is the first head of our family, Lu Xun. Everyone is shocked to hear that their master is a celestial member. Murmurs ripple through the room as people start asking, why haven't we seen him if Master Lu is still alive? The head raises his hand to silence the crowd and begins explaining. Lu Xun started cultivating long before the Earth's aura reawakened. He worked extremely hard to achieve the position of celestial. However, Master Lu was attacked by an enemy family and was seriously injured. Those injuries pushed him back to the refining level of jade. Gasps echo throughout the room as the head continues. This is why he avoids seeing anyone, he's focused on healing his inner injury. The head looks at Han and adds firmly, it is almost impossible for Master Lu to return to the celestial level. Now tell me, Han, how do you know about such a secretive matter of the Lu family? Han doesn't flinch. I promised to give your family a big gift, he replies calmly, and I intend to help Master Lu recover to the celestial level once again. The head scoffs, disbelief etched on his face. Impossible. Master Lu's recovery is beyond reach. I, myself, have been trying for years to help him recover. What makes you, a mere student, think you can succeed where I have failed? I was wrong to even consider your claims. Han meets his gaze steadily. You don't trust me because I'm a student. I understand that, but I only want to meet the ancestor. An old man in the room snaps, his voice sharp. It's not that easy to meet Lu Xun. Do you expect us to disturb Master Lu's practice just for you? He is admired and revered as a celestial member. You might have to wait ages for such a meeting. Han steps forward, his tone unwavering. Think about the strength and power of the Lu family on the southern island once Master Lu manages to recover. My healing pills will help him regain his might, I'm sure of it. The head freezes, visibly shaken by Han's confidence. Yes, Han answers firmly. The head recalls something Master Lu had once told him. His injuries could only be healed by magic pills. Realization dawns on him, and he immediately orders, servants, take Han to meet the ancestor. Blessings from heaven are showering upon our family, we have obtained the healing pill. Later, the servants lead Han to a secret hideout. Han's eyes widen as he takes in the surroundings. I never expected the Lu family to have a place like this, he thinks, his mind racing. Maybe I'll find one of the 5 crystals here. As they approach, Master Lu's commanding voice booms from the shadows. Stop, do not disturb me. Master, we deeply apologize, but we have urgent news. This young man has something important to share. Master Lu's sharp gaze lands on Han. Show me the healing pill, he demands coldly. Han stands his ground. The pill isn't with me at the moment, he replies evenly. Master Lu's expression darkens. Do you know the consequences you will face if you're trying to prank me? His voice reverberates with barely restrained fury. Yunzi quickly steps forward, her face pale. Ancestor, please, calm your anger. I beg you to listen to Han's reasons. If he dares to lie, I won't be able to save him. Lu glances at Yunzi, his expression softening slightly. Your qualifications are good, he says. As a member of the family, I will give him another chance on your behalf. Han takes a deep breath, then raises his hand. With a flick of his wrist, he forms a cauldron in front of everyone using his magical powers. The room fills with a faint hum of energy as the cauldron solidifies. I might not have the pill, Han declares confidently, but I can create one. Lu's eyes narrow, intrigued, surprised to see the cauldron. He realizes that it is the same alchemy that was lost thousands of years ago and is no longer in use. Lu, clearly amazed, tells Han, no one in the past centuries has used this method. He then asks, intrigued, who is your master? Lu is visibly impressed by Han's skills, believing that his martial arts abilities must be extremely splendid, especially considering his immense power at such a young age. Han, with a serious tone, asks, do you trust me now? He adds firmly, I don't want to waste time, I'm here to save someone. He urges Lu, have your family gather the necessary resources for the pill so I can start creating it and help you recover. Suddenly, the cauldron starts to shine brightly, and Yunzi, startled, wonders, what kind of person is Han? She starts questioning herself, whose disciple might he be? Why couldn't I see his abilities more clearly, especially since he's my classmate? Han is equally surprised to see that the Lu family has brought all the herbs he requested. He realizes, these herbs provide a lot of raw materials. Han reflects, knowing that healing pills are different from other pills due to their outstanding effects. But he also understands, it's not easy to make the pill Lu needs, even with all the ingredients. It requires a special alchemy method. Han mutters to himself, the fire used in alchemy is crucial. He whispers, the chaotic sky has rebirthed me, but I'm still far from mastering it. Resolute, he decides to use some of his magical powers, summoning the ninth fire, known as Northern Retrieval Flame. This flame, he knows, burns everything it touches and has mysterious boundaries. Han acknowledges, it's the best type of fire for creating pills. Nothing compares to the Northern Retrieval Flame. As Han begins to use the flame, Yunzi senses its aftermath. Realizing its power is too intense, she quickly uses her powers to shield herself, thinking, Han must control the flames, or things will get out of hand. The overwhelming heat worries her, and she wonders, what kind of flame is this? Knowing she can't hold out for long, she braces herself. Han speaks to himself again, even though the flame lives up to its reputation. This is only 1/10 of the original power. He admits, I can barely make these pills. If the Northern Retrieval Flame breaks out, it could burn the entire southern island to ashes. Suddenly, the cauldron bangs one of its legs, and Han announces, the pill is finally created. He opens the cauldron, stunned to find not just a healing pill but 3 extra pan pills made from the leftover raw materials. Taking the pills in his hands, he realizes, these pills can strengthen or improve someone's cultivation during the foundation period. However, he reflects, they're of no use to me right now. I'll be attending my classes at Chinbei University soon, so I'll give these to my parents, they can use them or sell them. The entire Lu family gathers in the living room as Han hands the healing pill to Master Lu. He says, try it. Lu takes the pill, his hands trembling slightly, and remarks, I never thought I'd recover this soon. Lu consumes the pill, and suddenly, his bold power surges back, nourishing him. The Lu family members feel the immense strength of the spirit returning to Lu's body, realizing that their ancestor is recovering at an astonishing pace. Yunzi, astonished, observes, the pill worked. Han truly succeeded. The family welcomes Lu back with joy and relief. Lu looks at Han, his gaze full of respect, and says, I've recovered so quickly, thanks to your impressive skills. You have a very promising future ahead of you. Han responds that Lu has recovered around 80 to 90% and assures him, I will continue to provide more pills over time so you can recover completely and quickly. Lu, moved by Han's dedication, declares firmly, I never break my promises. He then orders his servants to prepare, announcing that he has decided to save Han's friend and destroy Xianwu completely. The head of the family and the old man, deeply respectful, also agree with Master Lu and bow their heads in front of him. The atmosphere in the room becomes charged with a mix of relief. The next day, the Bull King stands at the southern cave location with Silverwing. He asks, do you think Han will come to save Ling Shu and give us information about the treasure tree? He adds, Ling Shu isn't even familiar with Han. Kwang tells him to relax, his tone confident. Han is a very confident and cunning young man. That's why I believe he'll come at all costs. The Bull King, recalling a brief encounter with Han, says, I remember seeing him at Jingshi Canyon with that giant toad. I punched him with such power that I got injured myself. His expression grows serious as he continues. Han's strength is terrifying. He then asks Kwang, do you think Han is hiding his powers? Or has he passed through the refining Jade Realm? Kwang dismisses the idea with a wave of his hand, explaining, I've studied Han's past. He only started cultivating after the Earth's aura awakened. It's not possible for him to have broken through the Jade Realm even if he were sent by the gods. Kwang speculates further. Perhaps he consumed a fruit that temporarily enhanced his power. Still, I admit, it's possible he has passed through the Jade Realm. He advises the Bull King, strengthen your defenses. I've also invited the #1 master of my company, Xian Tian Shao. Kwang's confidence is unshaken as he declares, Han won't escape death. Silverwing interjects, what should we do with Ling Shu after Han reveals the information about the 9-leaf lotus? He notes, Ling Shu may be from a wealthy family, but he has no power. Should we kill him? Kwang, his voice cold, will use Ling Shu as bait to make Han reveal the information about the lotus. Afterward, we'll kill Ling Shu and all his family members. We can't risk news of the lotus flower leaking to the public. Suddenly, Silverwing spots Han approaching. He's here. He alerts everyone, his voice sharp. Kwon remarks, "Well, that was quick." He then asks, "Han, can you provide information about the lotus flower?" Han demands, "Show me my friend first, then I might consider giving you the information." Kwon orders his servants, "Bring Ling Shu." After a few tense moments, Ling Shu is brought forward. He looks at Han, his voice filled with gratitude. "Han, I'm extremely grateful for your rescue attempt," he says earnestly, but then he warns, "Don't put yourself in danger. Kwon has many people positioned to ambush you." The Bull King sneers, throwing Ling Shu to the ground in front of Han with a hard kick to his back. "I've never seen such a talkative hostage," he remarks mockingly. Han, his voice steady and reassuring, tells Ling Shu, "Don't be afraid, I promise to save you." Kwon starts to chuckle at his words. Leon dares Kwon to kill him while lying face down, but Kwon dismisses him, saying he doesn't have time to waste. Kwon then turns to Han, demanding information about the lotus flower and threatening to kill Yang in front of him if he doesn't comply. Realizing it's time to launch a major attack, Han raises his hands and orders his hidden allies to strike. Suddenly, a powerful force of spirit appears, annihilating most of Kwon's men. It's Master Lu, who announces his arrival and introduces himself as a former general of the demon army, consisting of thousands of cultivators. He approaches Leon, saying, "I will save you," and deeming him no more than a treasure. Han feels a surge of happiness, thinking to himself that Master Lu is incredibly strong, having saved his friends so swiftly. Meanwhile, members of the Lu family arrive, eager to eliminate all members of the Xian Wu company. They quickly surround the enemies, commanding, "Surrender if you value your lives." Kwon is taken aback by the arrival of the Lu family, wondering how Han wields such power to summon the entire Lu family. He is equally puzzled by the old man who saved Ling, sensing that his strength rivals that of Tian Shao. Ling begins to cry, calling Han his savior, while Master Lu introduces himself to Kwon and warns him, "Be prepared for getting captured." The tension in the air is palpable as Kwon faces the reality of his situation, surrounded by the formidable Lu family and the powerful Master Lu, who now stands ready to bring him to justice. Kwon looks at Master Lu, confusion and fear etched on his face. He feels his strong aura and realizes how quickly he saved Ling Shu. Kwon fears that Lu can kill him with ease and believes that he is as powerful as Tian Shao. He starts to wonder, when did the Lu family acquire such an expert fighter? He asks angrily, "Is the Lu family crazy for going against my technology just to save a boy who hasn't even passed his basic refining stage?" He declares, "My technology is ready to fight to the death if you dare lay a hand on us." Lu responds coldly, "You don't deserve to talk to me. Call Tian Shao, or I'll destroy all of Xian Wu's technology for troubling my family while I was recovering." Suddenly, an old man standing at the top of the cliff looks at Lu and asks, "Are you bad-mouthing me?" It's Tian Shao. He glares at Lu and sneers, "Do you want to die?" Kwon, seeing his great master, suddenly becomes elated. He thinks to himself, "With my master's help, I don't have to fear the Lu family anymore. We'll erase them from existence." Lu, calm but firm, decides to leave the rest of the family to handle the situation and steps forward to face Tian Shao head-on. He tells Tian Shao, "You're wrong to call yourself a grandmaster. You're only at the Dandon realm." Lu declares, "I will take your head," and proceeds to attack with a huge, powerful blast. Meanwhile, Han unties Ling Shu, who immediately wraps himself around Han, crying and calling him his brother. Ling says tearfully, "I will do anything for you, Han. If you're in danger, I'll help you, even if I have to go through mountains." Han reassures Ling, his voice calm, "Everything is all right, but now, we must handle the enemy." In Han's previous life, what pained him the most was when someone close to him was injured. He was very weak and couldn't protect them. He had no means to help his loved ones and regretted it the most. With the flame of revenge burning in his heart, Han walks towards the enemy, vowing to erase those who dare to lay a hand on his loved ones. He activates his magical powers and leaps high into the air, instructing the members of the Lu family to leave Kwon to him and take care of the rest. He commands that none of the enemies be spared. Yunzi, with her family gathered around her, delivers a stirring call to arms, her voice resounding with determination. She leads them while remembering the years of suffering under the oppressive thumb of the Xian Wu company. With fire in their eyes and unity in their hearts, the Lu family stands as one, ready to confront their tormentors and reclaim their long-lost glory. As the confrontation unfolds, the Lu family starts to slaughter the enemies one by the order of Yunzi. Kwang's frustration boils over at the sight of his soldiers being killed. He snarls at Han, "You're responsible for the death of my soldiers. You deserve to die." Han glares at him, his voice steady and cold. "How dare you touch the person close to me?" In a dramatic twist, Kwang undergoes a startling transformation, his form shifting into a more formidable guise. He growls, "My anger will only be calmed if I break your bones and make you experience hell." However, Han, ever resourceful, seizes an opportune moment to strike, delivering a swift and calculated punch to Kwang's abdomen. As Kwang reels from the unexpected assault, Han confronts him, challenging his arrogance and questioning his preparedness for the battle at hand. Incensed by Han's audacity, Kwang retaliates with a reactive attack, sending Han hurling through the air and crashing into nearby rocks. The impact triggers a cascade of falling rocks, adding to the chaos of the conflict. Amidst the turmoil, Ling Shu watches in astonishment as the confrontation escalates. Kwang, emboldened by his supposed invincibility, taunts Han with boasts of his impenetrable armor and his intent to crush him utterly. As tensions reach a fever pitch, Kwang issues a dire warning to Han, threatening the consequences of defying him. "My armor is made from the strongest metal of my company. Aren't you afraid of me beating you into a pulp?" Han steps forward, unwavering. "Is that the limit of your strength?" he asks calmly, realizing that it's taking a lot of energy for Kwang to hold him back. Kwang is shocked to see Han perfectly fine, without a single scratch. "How are you not hurt by my attack?" he demands. Han's voice is steady. "Try again." Kwang's frustration boils over. "Don't be so arrogant," he roars, punching Han in the belly and sending him flying once again. Taken aback by Han's defiance, Kwang's expression darkens with frustration. "I won't stop until I've killed you," he declares, his voice shaking with fury. "Even if my arm falls off." He demands an explanation for Han's apparent resilience, his tone betraying his incredulity. "How are you still standing?" Yet Han meets Kwang's gaze with quiet confidence, his unwavering demeanor serving as a silent challenge. "Do you think you can kill me with so little strength?" he asks coldly. "You're weak." Kwang shouts, "You want to compare your strength with mine? You'll die." With a mighty roar, he punches Han once again, sending him hurtling a few feet back into a cluster of stones. Breathing heavily, Kwang sneers, convinced he has delivered his most powerful attack. "He must have died by now," he mutters, his voice laced with triumph. He starts to bleed from his mouth, thinking to himself, "There's no way Han can withstand such powerful punches from me." But to his utter shock, Han gets up again. Han's voice is calm yet chilling. "Do you want to know which one of us will be standing alive at the end of this battle?" Kwang loses his mind seeing Han still alive. He was absolutely certain Han would be dead by now. Meanwhile, the battle between Lu and Tian Shao is nearing its conclusion. Lu delivers a devastating blow to Tian Shao, his voice thundering, "You will die now." In just a few seconds, Tian Shao lies lifeless on the ground, and Lu returns to the battlefield with a commanding presence. His voice booms, "Anyone who dares to fight me will end up like Tian Shao." Yunzi is engaged in combat with Silver Wing. Her tone is sharp and resolute, "Surrender now. The Shinwu Company is hopeless." Silver Wing hesitates, then surrenders, admitting, "I haven't been with the company for long." The Bull King steps forward, announcing, "I would also like to surrender and join the Lu household." With the Bull King's words, all the men of the Shinwu Company surrender at once, but Yunzi sternly declares, "The Lu family won't be dealing with you." Meanwhile, Kwang drops to his knees before Han, surrendering. His voice is filled with desperation. "Please, don't kill me. My son is one of the students of Shushan." He confesses, "I have no talent for cultivation. That's why I joined the Xianwu Company on my son's advice to make changes to my body." Kwang's tone shifts as he asks Han, "Do you know about the Shushan School of Sword? It's a school for people beyond imagination." He warns, his voice trembling with both fear and malice, "If you kill me, your friends will be in trouble. Something bad will happen to you, and everyone close to you will be in danger." Some members of the Lu family are alarmed to hear this. "Kwang's son is at the Shushan school?" they murmur, knowing the magnitude of the school's power. They urge Han, "You must keep Kwang alive." Master Lu steps forward, his tone measured yet cautious. "Han, the Shushan school has produced some incredible talents this year, far stronger than the cultivators of the teacher realm." He advises Han, "Be very careful in making your decision." Kwang, sensing an opportunity, smirks and tells Han, "You know how insignificant the Lu family is compared to the Shushan school." His smirk grows wider as he begins to make an offer. But before Kwang can finish, Han swiftly swings his sword, severing Kwang's hand from his body. Han's voice is cold and unforgiving. I hate people who bring trouble to those close to me. He steps closer to Kwang, his gaze unyielding. Even if you have connections with the Shushan school, I don't care. If your son comes for me, he'll have to face me. Kwang screams in agony, clutching his severed hand. Master Lu looks at Han, his expression a mix of astonishment and curiosity. How does he have so much confidence? Is he hiding some huge secret? Kwang, now on his knees, trembling, glares at Han. My son is extremely strong, a student of the Shirwan sword. He will kill you if you harm me. His voice rises in desperation and fury. Not just you, your entire family. Everyone close to you will be in danger. They'll all become prey for the Shirwan school of sword. Han swings his sword and cuts another arm of Kwang, thinking he won't be making the same mistake. Not this time, as he has been reborn. Kwang screams out in pain and yells, "What are you doing? Do you want my family to be troubled?" Desperately, he immediately adds, "I'm ready to make peace with you," but Han coldly refuses, saying, "It's too late for you to beg for mercy." His voice sharpens as he continues, "You shouldn't have hurt my friend." Without hesitation, he drives his sword through Kwang's chest. Master Lu, standing nearby, is visibly shocked. He looks at Han and exclaims, "You've messed with a man whose son is a student of the Shushan school. Do you understand what this means? If this matter becomes huge, the Lu family will undoubtedly be involved." Ling, equally surprised by Han's actions, still manages to remark calmly, "I've learned a lot from you, Han." Han then reaches down, plucking a shiny crystal from Kwang's armor. His eyes narrow as he realizes it was with him all this time. He thinks about Kwang's son and mutters, "He cannot be underestimated. He must know how to use the 5-element crystals too." Yet, his confidence remains unshaken. "But he won't withstand me, not if he ever faces me." Shifting his focus, Han places the crystal into a bottle with the others. Thinking, 2 more to go, Master Lu approaches and says, "Han, if you have any requests, let me know. You've helped us resolve a matter we've been entangled in with the Xian Wu Company for years." Han shakes his head and replies firmly, "I don't need anything. You've already helped me." His tone softens slightly as he adds, "Don't feel indebted to me." Then, turning away, he says, "I have many other things to do." Ling quickly follows, calling out, "Wait for me." The elder of the Lu family, watching Han leave, remarks, "This young man appears fearless." Yunzi, standing beside him, advises, "Try to understand people like Han. They're impressive." Master Lu then orders, "Quickly, cover the corpses of the enemies and clear the area." His curiosity piqued, he becomes eager to learn more about Han's mysterious origins. 3 days later, Han is walking through his school. Students, astonished to see him, whisper among themselves, "Shouldn't he be hiding?" The elder of the Long family is searching for him. Suddenly, Ling Shu joins Han, greeting him with a smile. "Han, I didn't know we'd be attending the same school." Han frowns slightly and asks, "Why are you following me? Don't you need to attend your own classes?" Ling grins and responds, "I'll ask my father to change my class so I can join you. From now on, I'll be following you." Han's gaze shifts to Ling's bodyguards. "What about them?" he inquires. Ling explains, "My father appointed them after a kidnapping incident." Then, turning to the bodyguards, he declares boldly, "Han is like my brother. From now on, he's your boss too. Treat him with the same respect you show me." The bodyguards lower their heads in unison, showing respect. "Understood," they say, greeting Han. Meanwhile, at the Fong family residence, Jimu speaks urgently to his father. "Have you heard the news about the Lu family? They fought with Han and destroyed the Xian Wu Company. It's all over the city." His father's expression darkens as he replies, "The Lu family's elder might have returned. Lu Xiam, the genius cultivator of the Lu family. It's possible he has regained his original cultivation level." Jimu hesitates, then questions, "Do you really think Chen could be responsible?" "It's hard to believe." His father nods grimly, "We cannot ignore this matter. Not when our family's treasure is still in. The family is also after him, meaning the Lu family cannot protect him for long." With a confident smile, he assures his son, "The Long family should never be underestimated." Zhenyu, fueled by anger, declares, "I'll kick Han out of school." His father, however, raises a hand to stop him. Before doing so, he says sternly, "You must improve your cultivation and break through the foundation stage. It will help you with the upcoming martial arts exam." With a serious tone, his father advises, focus solely on the martial arts exam, which will be held in 3 months. Many prestigious schools, backed by influential selectors and states, will start recruiting candidates then. Genyu, curious but doubtful, asks, is the exam really that important? Will the children of other strong families take it too? His father nods, explaining, HHIA is not a school where ordinary students gain admission easily. Look at the other 2 prestigious schools as great examples. If you join any of the top 7 schools, your future will be shining and promising. A smirk forms on his father's face as he adds, after that, you'll become so strong that Han will seem like an insect in comparison. Hearing this, Genyu's eyes light up. I'll begin my practice right away, he declares enthusiastically. Pleased with his determination, his father says, leave the matter of Han to me. Use all the family's resources to prepare for the test. Meanwhile, Han enters the crowded classroom with Ling and Noti. Several students gather around Yunzi, congratulating her on her family's victory in destroying the Xian Wu Company and becoming the strongest family in the city. Han walks past Yunzi without a word. A girl suddenly shouts, hey, have you no manners? How dare you not greet Yunzi? Her family helped you against the Xian Wu Company. Ling, waving dismissively, says, Han is just too lazy to deal with such matters. Han, unfazed, tells Ling, ignore her. Together, they walk away, leaving the girl fuming. Arrogant, she yells, glaring at Han. Suddenly, the classroom door bursts open with a loud bang. On from the Long family strides in, demanding, Han, come out. Despite the commotion, Han stands calm and firm, saying nothing. On approaches Han, glaring, I transferred to the school just to get my revenge on you. He challenges Han to a fight, but Ling chuckles lightly, dismissing him. Stupid, he says under his breath. Han, equally indifferent, mutters, idiot. An, frustrated by their insults, tries to hit Han. Just as his fist swings forward, Ling shouts, An, someone at this school wants to kill you. An stops in his tracks and snaps, do you want to be killed too? Ling, smiling confidently, replies, killing is not allowed at school. You can't kill me here. An's face twists with anger. Are you the one making headlines in the news? He growls. Ling, still grinning, says, that's me. My name is Ling Shu. An sneers. I'll remember your name, he retorts. But Ling, unfazed, responds, it won't benefit you in any way. Ling then asks, do you even know who my big brother is? An shrugs, uninterested. I don't care who your brother is. He won't be able to stand against me. Ling leans in, smirking. Han is my big brother, he reveals confidently, and he can easily beat you. Preparing to attack them both, An snarls, I'll destroy you too. But Ling starts laughing, pointing at Han. Can't you see who my elder brother is? The classroom erupts in laughter as the other students mock An. Realizing this, An loses his composure. His face reddens with rage as he shouts, how dare you play with me? In a fit of rage, An punches a desk in front of him, shattering it in half to assert dominance. Han, calmly but firmly, reminds Ling, I never taught you to embarrass anyone like that. Ling smiles sheepishly, rubbing his head. I just want An to know that you are my big brother, he says. Then, tilting his head, he asks, don't you want to do anything? Are you just going to sit there? Before Han can respond. Or, do you not want to fight him? Han sighs and replies sharply, stop it, you're shameless. Suddenly, the door creaks open, and teacher Kyan strides into the classroom. His voice booms, everyone, back to your seats. Don't you know it's time for the lesson? An glares at Han as he moves to his seat, muttering, just wait a few moments. You're lucky. Kyan scans the room and demands, who broke the door of the class? Without hesitation, Ling and Han both point at An. It's him, they say in unison. An's face turns red with frustration. Why are you blaming me? He snaps. Kyan fixes An with a piercing stare. You broke it? Then you must pay for the damage. Stand in front of the class. An, gritting his teeth, agrees to pay but protests. Why do I need to stand here? Kyan says nothing. Instead, he steps forward and punches An, sending him flying into another desk, which breaks under his weight. Kyan towers over him and states coldly, I'm the teacher here. You'll also pay for the damage to this desk. An, now shaken, realizes Kyan is too strong to provoke. Reluctantly, he nods. Fine, I'll pay for the desk too. Kyan straightens up and addresses the students. I have something important to discuss with all of you, he announces. Ling, curious, asks, is it really that important? Han, recalling previous events, thinks to himself, Kyan might announce something about the martial arts exam. It's not easy for anyone to pass. He remembers how the government made martial arts an essential subject after the awakening of the aura, to cultivate strong fighters for the next generation. Kyan begins, his voice commanding. The aura of the earth has awakened, creating the best environment for practicing cultivation. This is why the government has established several martial arts schools across the cities. He pauses, looking around the room. According to the masters, these schools have been divided into 2 prestigious schools and 7 first-grade schools. Kyan continues, these 9 schools are major national military institutions. All the provinces will be opening their own schools to meet their requirements. This is your opportunity, seize it at all costs. His tone grows serious as he adds, you've reached an age where martial arts are an essential part of your lives. He explains further, before the awakening of the aura, only the Shirshan family could provide their children with the resources for cultivation. But now, the schools are accepting children from other families as well. Kyan's gaze sweeps across the students. You have 5 months. Use this time to break through, improve your practice, and create a legend in martial arts. The classroom erupts in whispers. The government provides all kinds of resources if you pass the exam, one student says excitedly. But what if I can't pass it? Another worries. Their murmurs grow louder as they wonder how they'll manage to take the test. An, still fuming, scoffs loudly. Stop dreaming, none of you are getting selected. Kyan then looks at the students and says, feel free to ask any questions you have. One student hesitates before raising his hand. Can I take the exam since my strength has recently increased? He asks nervously. Kai smiles and replies, yes, it would definitely give you an advantage. He continues, power makers and growers have 2 paths. Your goal should always be to become the strongest. Another student raises her hand timidly. What are the main strengths required for the exam? And, how do we pass it? Before Kai can respond, An interjects with a confident smirk. Don't look down on yourself, he says, his tone almost mocking. The exam has 2 parts, the cultivation level and the assessment test. He glances around the room, his voice rising with arrogance. The test is based on the assessment before last year's aura awakening. The lowest criteria are for Wu University and the 9 highly reputed schools Kai mentioned. Uncrosses his arms and adds, but the merit of acceptance has definitely increased because of the awakening of the aura. For most of you, passing the test is just a dream. You lack the resources for cultivation. The room falls silent. The students exchange confused glances, their expressions a mix of surprise and frustration. What does he mean? One whispers, is he saying we can't pass the test? Kai steps in to clarify. Let me explain in detail. He begins. The score for the exam is different for each person. It must match your qualifications. Kai explains patiently. The maximum score is 9, but achieving this is extremely rare. Even maintaining a score of 1 is quite challenging for most people. The students listen intently as Kai continues. Qualifications are considered good if they're above the 3rd grade. Even a genius must reach the Lopan stage of cultivation and touch Tangia to achieve the Gen stage. Kai's tone grows firm. Forget about everything else for now. Focus on 2 crucial stages of cultivation, Shuji and Joping. Strive to increase your cultivation level so that you can be selected by any of the martial arts schools. Han listens silently, reflecting on the different levels and stages of cultivation. He knows that no one has ever formed the perfect foundation. A student raises her hand nervously. What if we fail to break through during the exam? Or, if we don't even have a foundation? Kai reassures her. That's not even a problem anymore. It used to be a big issue before the awakening of the aura. But now, the earth is rich with aura. You just need to work harder. He adds, if you're facing difficulties, buy special fruits to improve your cultivation. Every cultivator has different methods and opportunities. A rich person can buy various types of fruits to enhance their cultivation. Ling, beaming with excitement, claps his hands together. That's great to hear, but the mood in the room darkens as another student groans. Those fruits cost millions of yuan. My family is too poor. There's no hope for me. Another student nods in agreement. It's true. Only the rich can afford those fruits. After the class ends, Ling bounds over to Han, grinning. Han, follow me. I have something important to show you. Curious but calm, Han follows Ling to the school's backyard. Ling gestures toward a luxurious villa, nestled in the shadows of the school. This, Ling says proudly, was bought for you by my father to thank you for saving my life the other day. Han's eyes narrow slightly as he looks at the villa. Ling places a hand on Han's shoulder. You need to take the martial arts exam at all costs. He urges, you can practice here in peace. Han is eager to increase his strength as soon as possible, determined to grow stronger quickly. He thinks to himself that he will be quite comfortable practicing in his own place. 3 months later, at the villa, Han sits cross-legged on his bed, deeply focused on practicing his cultivation. Ling, sitting casually in front of him, breaks the silence. Han, my father bought me a lot of fruits, he says with a grin. I've managed to pass through the foundation stage in the past 3 months by consuming many of them. Ling offers Han some fruits, holding them out generously. But Han, unfazed, responds, forget the fruits, let's fight instead. I want to test our strength. Ling chuckles, a confident smirk forming on his face. I've already knocked out someone's teeth today. Are you sure you want to fight me? Han, undeterred, replies calmly, don't talk too much, I'll let you hit first. With a playful shrug, Ling drops the fruit to the side and rises to his feet. Alright then, big brother, don't blame me if I hit too hard. Ling moves toward Han, his stance confident, ready to prove his newfound strength. He throws a punch, aiming for Han, but Han dodges effortlessly. Ling's eyes widen in surprise. Before he can react, Han counters with a swift kick to his belly, sending him flying across the room. Ling groans as he sits up, slightly winded. Han, he exclaims, don't be so serious, you're too strong. I'm no match for you. Ling chuckles weakly, rubbing his stomach. I've fought many people. I'm not bad, but why can't I even touch you? Han crosses his arms, his tone both firm and encouraging. You need to practice diligently, but don't overdo it. Focus on passing your basic foundation stages first. Once you've stabilized, use resources to break through to the upper levels. Han's voice turns serious. Ling, remember this, some qualified practitioners can break through, but most are stuck focusing solely on advancing their cultivation. The quality of your foundation matters. He pauses for emphasis. The foundation values in the base period range from 1 to N. The base of the 9th class and the 1st class? Not the same. A higher quality foundation will be crucial in the martial arts exam. Ling nods, hanging on to every word. Han continues, his gaze steady. Achieving a breakthrough with a quality foundation is difficult. Without an impossible opportunity, progressing further will be extremely challenging. Ling, determined, promises, I'll do my best to practice diligently. Han, I understand now. Han hands him a small pill. Take this, he says, practice slowly. This pill will enhance your cultivation and consolidate it. It will help you after breaking through your foundation. Ling stares at the pill in awe. This pill, I've only heard about it before. His voice trembles with excitement. It's usually taken by the talented students of the Daemon School. Han nods, unfazed by Ling's reaction. I need you to deliver some of these pills to Jiang and his wife in Jiujiang village, located in Yin province. Ling straightens, his demeanor turning serious. I'll make sure they get it, he says firmly. Tell them you're from Han. Han instructs. They'll believe you. Let them know I'll come to them after the exam. Ling nods, resolute. I won't fail you. Han adds a final warning. You'll need to pass through the waterfall to reach the village. Be careful. There are no phone users there, and the journey can be dangerous. Protect the parcel at all costs. Ling gives a determined nod. Understood. Later, at the entrance of the school, the air buzzes with excitement and curiosity. Practitioners from various regions gather, creating a striking scene. Students murmur among themselves, their eyes wide with awe. Why are so many here? One whispers, look at them, they're clearly masters from Cheyenne City. The crowd begins guessing the ranks of the visitors, their speculation growing louder. Among them, Yunzi observes calmly. The exam, she remarks, is very famous due to its administration. Anyone under the age of 30 can take it by registering at any high school. She surveys the gathering, her gaze sharp. It's no wonder so many have appeared for it. I can already spot the Bull King, Silverwing on the campus, both of whom are there for the exam as well. Han knows that the aura recovery is about to end. He also knows that the government has recruited many cultivators because of the human crisis caused by the aura recovery. He remembers countless cultivators being killed in his past life and hopes that he will get to see numerous heroes emerge in his current life. Yunzi arrives and tells him that her grandfather likes him and offers him a place in her family. She says that her family is ready to provide him with all the resources he needs to cultivate and asks if he would consider her offer, as she thinks his cultivation might be disturbed a bit. Han refuses immediately, stating, I won't join the Liu family. He then asks Yunzi, do you like me? Are you using the Liu family as an excuse because I have big goals and don't want to be overtaken by personal feelings? Yunzi retorts sharply, I don't like you even a bit. She adds, you're not even good to talk to. Suddenly, the Qingqing students arrive in huge numbers, surprising everyone. The students are astonished to see even the sects coming out of the mountains to take the exam and start hoping that they will be accepted at Wuhan University. Ling informs Han, the Qinggun list has been updated, and there is a huge difference. Han looks at the list and realizes that it is mostly occupied by Shirshan students. He finds Yunzi and On in the top 2 positions and starts thinking that Yunzi must have great combat strength due to previous battles she fought. He looks at her and wonders if she rebuilt her foundation like she did in his previous life or if her family uses the 5-seed element to change her body. Ling examines the list and realizes that he's not as fast as he thought, as the top 10 candidates on the list are all at the foundation stage. Han asks Yunzi, "What did you do? Why didn't you tell me?" She replies, "You must rely on aura to cultivate. Even though you have good qualifications, there are many things in the world you haven't seen." She pauses before adding, "You don't have access to the outer world, which is much wider." She looks at him and says, "I hope you continue to be a good man." Before walking away, she adds, "Don't stray too far from the Shirshan and Zhangman families." Han starts to wonder if there is something about the world that he doesn't know. He knows that Yunzi depends on the 5-seed element used by the Lu family to change her body. He also knows that his goal is to break through the foundation stage and reach the END, which can be seen by the Shirshan and Lu families as well. However, the foundation is above the ground level, like the heaven level, and the god level foundation is too difficult for him to achieve. Han puts his hand on Ling's shoulder and tells him, "Go and inform On that I have accepted his challenge." He continues, "Tell On that I want to give him a chance to take revenge for his brother's death, as his brother dared to provoke me first." Han smiles to himself, knowing that something really big is going to happen and that he will need to spend a lot of resources on it. Ling asks Han, "Are you sure you want to fight On?" He notes, "I've seen On defeat many people over the past few days who are at the END of their basic phases." He reminds Han, On is in the top 10 rankings of the Qian list. Han dismisses his concern, replying, "Just inform On about the challenge. I'll fight him only if he agrees to my terms." Ling walks away, and Han muses to himself, "It's quite amusing to think I wasn't rewarded with anything yet built one of the strongest foundations." He reminds himself, "I would have risen to such a level if it were not for protection." On the other hand, On is infuriated upon hearing Han's condition. He can't believe Han has demanded 10 million yuan, special weapons, and hundreds of spiritual fruits. Slamming his hand on the table, he asks Ling, "Are you crazy? Do you seriously expect me to comply with such demands?" Ling is unfazed. He walks away, stating, "Han is not ready to accept the challenge if you don't agree to his terms." On retorts, "It's too difficult for me to meet Han's demands." Ling reaches the door of the room, turns back, smiles, and asks On, "Should I tell Han that you're not ready to accept his terms?" The servant standing beside On starts trying to convince him to reject Han's terms and conditions. On stays silent for a moment, then suddenly slams his chair and tells his servants, "Give Han what he wants." The servants are extremely shocked, while On thinks to himself, "I will kill Han in front of Ling's eyes." He is confident in his own abilities. Later, at the villa, Ling goes to Han's room with all the resources he asked for and tells him, On has sent everything. Han picks up a sword and remarks, "This can help me increase my strength." He notes that it is a spiritual weapon worth millions of dollars. Ling comments, "The Lu family is very rich." He points out, "You've also received a starflower worth hundreds of millions of yuan." He picks up a couple of special fruits in his hands and tells Han, "You're very generous. My father has never sent me spiritual fruits in my lifetime." Curious, Ling asks, "What do you plan to do next?" Han, confident and strategic, had told Ling, "Just wait and see. I plan to milk the Lu family like a COW." He mentioned, "The first spiritual space of China, called Zhongsong, will open soon." Han explained, Qian came from the low mountains to help the villagers, as the risk of entering the cave in the early days of spirit recovery, along with the size of the cave, was very small. After the opening of the spiritual space, Qian organized a group of students to search for opportunities, which was the reason why the school attracted so many young monks. Qian aimed to strengthen the youth to defend the country. The students stand in line, waiting for their turns to take the test, thinking they won't be selected and that the school will use them to collect treasures. Ling takes a look at the line and realizes, there are many students who have come to take the test. He observes that most of them are basic level monks, so he decides, I'll ask my father for more spiritual fruits. Han knows he doesn't need to worry, as this period coincides with the highest number of monks, and the test will be easy. He is confident they will finish the exam quickly. Suddenly, Qian tells the students, go to the school meeting room. I want to make an important announcement. Han passes through the stage checker, which shows he has surpassed the basic stage. Qian looks at him and thinks to himself, Han has formed a strong basic foundation for his future. He remembers seeing Han fight in the ring earlier, where Han destroyed Jinyu and his pride. Later, all the students gather in front of Qian as he addresses the rumors being spread around the school. He tells them that most of them are close to the basic stage, and are the pride of the institution, having great potential to reach the highest levels of success. Kai tells them they are the students who will take the exam and make the institution proud. He emphasizes that they are here because they have been given a chance to evolve. He informs them that after the energy pool ends, the cave will open in the western region. Kai tells the students this is a rare opportunity and warns them about the dangers of the cave but reassures them that staying in teams will reduce the risk of death. Later, Han is walking through the woods when, all of a sudden, Leon comes and tells him that Kyan will go to the genie cave to. Han becomes a little frustrated upon hearing Liang's words, saying, "It's obvious, since Kai is responsible for the students." Suddenly, two boys interrupt them and demand that Han hand over the spiritual fruits in his hands. Han asks the boy, "Are you stupid? Haven't you heard about the school's rules against stealing?" The boy retorts, "I don't care about the rules because I'm from the temple." Han inquires, "Are you from the Neo Temple? Have you even heard of it?" Liang adds, "You sound familiar." Leon mentions that he has been training intensively for the past 3 months, during which most of the students have formed groups with the stronger ones. He says, Lu Yunzi is the most powerful student in the class, and no one dares to touch her. However, this time the faction members have entered the school in a big way, making the situation difficult to even describe. The boys, now frustrated, demand that Han quickly hand over the money if he wants to save himself. They claim that Nong, the Bull King, is their leader and is at the top of the foundation stage. One of them adds, Noah Wang is ranked among the top 50 masters of the southern island and has a very powerful force behind him. Han tells the boys, "I understand how strong your boss is, but I haven't brought my protection fees with me. Do you want to come with me to get it?" The boys agree, saying, "Han has finally understood us." They tell him to lead the way. A few moments later, the boys are sitting on the floor without their clothes, crying like babies, while Han stands in front of them, holding 2 special fruits. He asks, "Is that all you have to offer?" The boys assure him, "It's everything we have. Where else would we hide anything?" One of them says, "We only have 2 spirits left." Han realizes they are poor, so he tells them to bring more spirits next time and allows them to leave. The boys immediately get up to leave, but Han warns them, "Do not inform your boss about what happened. Your boss is no match for me, as I am at the last stage of my foundation. I'm here to practice my cultivation and consume the fruits. If you dare to utter a word to your boss, I won't spare you." The boys, scared, promise not to say anything to anyone. Liang, confused by all this, asks Han, "What are you doing? I can't understand anything." Han tells Liang, "Inform your father to prepare the spiritual fruits for entering the genie cave." He reminds himself, there's a huge problem in the cave. It doesn't even have the slightest aura. He knows the aura will continue to decrease when the monks enter and fail to maintain chi. Han understands that the chi will be dangerous if consumed after fighting, so he plans to save more fruits before entering the genie cave. On the other hand, the boys exit the place, and one of them says, "I'll go and rob more people. I don't want to get robbed again." He never expected such a thing to happen to them. The other one mutters, "We've been embarrassed. Too much." Another boy mentions, "Han told us not to tell our boss anything. That must mean he's scared of him." They decide to immediately inform their boss about everything and plan to get Han killed as soon as possible. On the roof of the school building, the Bull King stands with his men, who tried to rob Han. They recount the incident to him, and he asks, "Did the robber mention anything about me?" The boys exaggerate, claiming, "The robber is incredibly arrogant. He even threatened to rob you." The Bull King gets irritated. He stands up and declares, "That robber is very rude." He boasts about his strength, saying, "Even Silverwing, the god of war, isn't stronger than me." He orders his boys, "Take me to this robber. I'll deal with him personally." A few moments later, the boys lead the Bull King to where Han is standing and point him out. The Bull King rushes towards Han, with his followers close behind. After a few steps, the Bull King is surprised to see that Han is the robber who humiliated his boys. He demands, "What are you doing here?" Han responds by taunting him, saying, "I heard the Bull King has grown so strong that he's built his own temple. Have you become useless since our last encounter?" The Bull King retorts, "You're not at my level. I'm now part of the Lu family, so you'd better show me the respect I deserve." He admits, "I admire your strength, but the balance of power has shifted." He calls Han weak, but Han dismisses this, stating, "I'm not affiliated with the Lu family and wasn't seeking Yun's support either." Han boasts, "Girls want to be friends with me, but I'm the one who rejects them." This frustrates the Bull King even more. The Bull King becomes enraged, shouting, "How dare you disrespect Lady Yunzi?" But Han cuts him off, saying, "I'm going to kill you and take all your fruits." The Bull King declares, "I'll show you my real strength." He slams the ground with full force. The floor cracks and trembles, but Han jumps high into the air, saying, "This is fun for me." From above, Han looks down at the Bull King and taunts him, "You're too slow." The Bull King stares up in surprise. 3 minutes after the fight, Han is standing in front of some special fruits, asking the Bull King, "Is this all the fruits you've been able to collect, even with a temple and robbing people with your powers?" The Bull King immediately responds, "All the robbed fruits are kept by my boys, not me. I have to gather fruits for myself by working hard for them." Han tells him, "This amount is too little." Thinking, "There must be enough for me to reach the magic stage," he adds, "I need more supplies for the future." Suddenly, Yunzi appears out of nowhere and asks Han, "What are you up to?" The Bull King immediately tells her, "Han stole all my special fruits by force and has been badmouthing you behind your back." He says that Han told him Yunzi wants to be friends with him, but he keeps ignoring her. Ling is standing behind Han. He realizes the situation is about to take a negative turn and becomes worried. Ling tells Han, "You shouldn't badmouth people behind their backs," but Han responds coldly, "It's true. Yunzi is mad at me and is after me all the time." Yunzi, angered by Han's words, shouts, "I will cut off your tongue." Han smirks and retorts, "Focus on your cultivation instead. You can't beat me." Yunzi's anger explodes. She verbally abuses Han, then draws her sword and delivers a powerful blow. Han reacts quickly, he steps back, and the ground takes the impact, turning into rubble. Han, brushing off the attack, sneers, "No man would be interested in you if you keep behaving like this." Yunzi, startled by his dodge, begins to wonder, did he use teleportation? Then she realizes it was a basic level transition skill. How has he evolved so quickly? Han, deciding he's had enough, mutters to himself, "I won't waste my months of practice here. I'll evolve to the level of the holy body and then move on to acquire the flying spirit." Turning away, he adds softly, "I'll go to Xing. It will be difficult if I go there unprepared." He starts to walk away. Ling, confused, calls out, "Why are you leaving? You haven't even beaten Yunzi yet." Yunzi, equally surprised, glares after him. Han replies without turning back, "Yunzi's just upset. She's no competition for me." Then, addressing Ling, he commands, "Prepare to go to Jingshi Cave. I want to get spiritual supplies and see how quickly I can find the treasure." At the mention of the treasure, Ling's eyes sparkle with excitement. Yunzi watches Han leave, her mind racing. She recalls her family's instructions, investigate Han. The elder suspects he's hiding a secret about his true identity. Her thoughts darken. How could someone at the basic foundation stage dodge my attack so effortlessly? Later, all the students gather in one place. Kyan stands at a distance, observing them. A person informs Kyan, "Apart from our city's young apprentices, 2 other cities are sending their students to Jingshi Cave as well." The person then asks nervously, "Don't you think something bad might happen with students from other schools and families joining?" Kyan frowns and replies, "Jingshi Cave is crucial for monks to develop a level 9 foundation. I'd leave before people start acting foolishly." He pauses, his gaze thoughtful. "I don't know much," he admits, "but first-level spiritual fruits shouldn't appear before a cleansing. This could be a blessing." Kyan's tone shifts, growing serious. "Other opportunities exist, too. It's rare to find something that helps one cross the foundation of Gen and gain new abilities, but various benefits can be acquired." He sighs, "It's a shame the cave can only be entered by basic-level monks. I'd like to train and investigate inside myself." Kyan's expression hardens. Qualifications are everything when passing the foundation stage, and that stage has at least 9 levels. He believes the students would greatly benefit if they trained above each qualification level. However, he warns, most parties aim for the 9th level, fearing the legend that the bases of earth and sky are determined at this stage. The person's voice lowers with concern. "I just hope the students can protect themselves inside the cave. If something dangerous appears in front of them, they'll be in huge trouble." He turns to Kyan and asks anxiously, "And rumors about Jingshi Cave's connection to ancient powers are true? What if restoring the aura causes chaos globally, disrupting quiet training?" Kyan's gaze darkens. The students face a rough future. It's their fate to be born in such an era. His tone softens, tinged with worry. "I only hope my students can become more powerful. I fear I won't be able to enter the cave to protect them from threats." A few moments later, at Nagari Jingshi, a person holding a wooden board addresses the students through a speaker, his voice booming with motivation. "This is your chance," he exclaims. "You must fight for it, because once you succeed in building a strong foundation, you will be considered geniuses among geniuses." Suddenly, Ling notices many students who aren't from his school. He immediately rushes to Han and says in a worried tone, "Han, look, there are so many outsiders here." Han glances at the crowd and reassures him, "It's normal, Ling. We're not the only ones here to grab such a huge opportunity. No one would want to miss this." Han's eyes narrow as he adds, "Besides, many of these people aren't even students or young monks, they're here to try their luck." Meanwhile, the person standing with Kyan asks him, "Do you think there's a special fruit that allows monks to build a 9th level foundation directly, even if the aura is awakened?" First level spiritual fruits and rare top level spirits are legendary and extremely scarce. Suddenly, a huge portal opens in the sky. The person standing next to Kyan stares at it and says, alarmed, "There's something wrong. I suspect there are powers with ulterior motives behind this." Kyan studies the portal with a grim expression. Only a few students could handle the frequencies. It seems they've reached the end of their spiritual boundaries and are forced to treat themselves as they ascend from the cave. The person pales. If that's true, then the students entering the cave will be destroyed by the force inside. This could lead to a great loss. Panicking, he asks, Kyan, should we stop the students from entering the cave? Kyan shakes his head firmly. It's too late now. Most of the students have already entered. His tone turns cold. Finding the spiritual fruits will be challenging because the cave is vast. Inform the students, once they grab their opportunity, they must leave immediately. They should not linger too long, he adds ominously. Even though it's not the dragon's era, it would be unreasonable if it grows. Kyan addresses the students directly, his voice steady but commanding. You are the acting elites of the southern island. This is your first training mission. He pauses for emphasis. Exit the cave promptly after securing your opportunity. Do not stay too long or talk excessively inside. A student in the crowd can barely contain his excitement, his eyes shining with anticipation. This cave is filled with spiritual fruits. I can't wait to enter. He has heard that a spiritual part will help him quickly evolve to the final stage, potentially bypassing the martial arts exam. The students believe the cave contains fruits that will increase their strength daily, making them unbeatable. They are aware they must be careful, as opportunities are limited, but many students from neighboring cities have also come. Yumi tells Silverwing, instruct everyone to stay together and work as a team. Our goal is to obtain the spiritual fruits for our development. Silverwing points out, there are many monks with hidden powers, but they are too weak. We know very little about them. However, those monks have entered the cave and might have built their foundations using the spiritual fruits. He also notes, students from other cities are present, which means potential conflicts in the cave could put everyone in danger. Silverwing asks Yumi, Niang, the Bull King, has built his own temple. Do you want to call upon him to increase your strength? Yumi refuses. No, I want to fight myself to understand the opponent's strength. I'm not worried about anyone, except On. Silverwing is surprised. On, will he be coming to the cave top? She replies confidently. Yes, On is among the top candidates on the list. He will be our rival if he arrives. Meanwhile, Ling tells Han, we must enter the cave, polish our skills, and reach the top of the foundation level. It would be beneficial if we could obtain a spiritual fruit to aid our cultivation. Han asks, do you have spiritual fruits? Ling shows him a bag full of them. My father had a lot of money, so he bought me these fruits. Are they sufficient? Han responds positively. Yes, they should be enough. Let's explore the inside of the cave. Han reminds Ling, don't give the spiritual fruit to anyone if we get separated inside. Upon entering the cave, Han notices something odd. Why didn't you buy a storage bag? Ling, you have so much money. Ling shrugs, even though they might be a bit valuable now. Han thinks to himself, these bags are not mass-produced. I should think about creating storage bags to sell after this mission. It could be a lucrative business. As Han enters the cave, the person next to Kai announces, the last student has entered. They are unaware of the cave's interior situation. Kalen notices that the cave is emitting a lot of aura. He observes the aura seems to be released from the east and realizes, if this continues, all of the cave's aura might escape. Suddenly, the cave's opening shuts on its own. Nearby people start to worry. What is happening? Why is the aura coming out of the cave? Others speculate. The students inside might be in danger now that the cave is closed. The person next to Kai asks, what is happening? Why is the aura coming out? Kai responds, something is moving towards the cave's protective array. The cave shut because of the escaping aura. Now, those inside can't get out, and those outside can't get in. The person asks anxiously, will the students be trapped inside forever? Kai assures him, no, the cave will open in less than 3 days. It's not easy to close the cave once it has been opened. He adds, there is no more aura left inside Jingshire Cave. This is a serious matter. It will be difficult for the students to find opportunities inside the cave due to this vulnerability. Kai knows the students will make significant decisions to replenish their spiritual energy, yet he fears most of them will fall victim to their fates. He then turns around, stating, everyone has to live their own lives. I hope the students inside the cave don't mess up and manage to get out within 3 days. I'm even willing to pay for it. Kai wonders, did I accidentally activate the protective array? Or is someone else responsible for this? Determined, he resolves, I will find out who caused this accident, and I will kill the culprit at all costs, regardless of where they come from. Meanwhile, inside the cave, the students gather in one place. Silverwing asks Uni, are we standing in front of a heavenly cave? It feels like a fairy tale to me. He wonders, why is reality so different from the story I was told? Uni tells him, something must be wrong. I can sense a negative change in the aura. She announces, we will enter the cave in front of us together, and orders everyone, keep following me. Uni strictly forbids. No one is to consume any unnecessary aura. Remember this at all costs. Lai Zenin, a student of the Shirwan Sword School, tells her brother, we can disguise ourselves as weak and poor students, even though our school is very strong. She asks, do you think it's too much? Or is the Shirwan Sword School afraid we won't succeed? Lai Yuan, her brother, and another student of the school, responds, Junine, we are the pride of the school. Have you ever seen me afraid of anyone? He says, our school is respected all across China for being the first sword school, but the master has advised me not to mess with Kyan. He is a person of mysterious background, and he's not essential to our mission. Ran confidently states, we will be the first to get the treasure. But a girl named Kwang Ray cuts him off. The treasure is not important to me, she says coldly. I am here to kill someone. Ray explains, I am after a mysterious, evil person named Suan. He killed and tortured my father a few days ago. I am determined to get revenge for his death. Chuan tells his sister and Ray, be cautious. Students who haven't practiced for 3 days are looking for opportunities to get the treasure, and they are ready to kill for it. He emphasizes, conserve your aura. Remember, we've brought a lot of spirit fruits to replenish our energy. Meanwhile, Leon and Han are walking together. Leon expresses his amazement. The vast world we've discovered inside the small entrance of the cave. It's incredible. He recalls, ancient legends say there are 3,000 small worlds and 36 big worlds. Han speculates, this must be one of the smaller worlds. Its vitality has likely been cut off due to past events. It's difficult to understand its history. At the ancient battlefield of the dark, damaged city, on stands with a few boys, he instructs them, spread out and find Han. Shoot a flare as soon as you locate him. He remembers, Han tricked me into giving away so many things, promising to accept my challenge only if I agreed to his conditions. Filled with a desire for revenge, Han becomes frustrated when a boy advises him, don't seek revenge, seize the rare opportunity to find the treasure instead. Han becomes enraged and slaps the boy. Do you know that you're speaking nonsense? He shouts, grabbing the boy by the collar. I'll throw you away if you dare speak such nonsense again. The boy, terrified and with a swollen cheek, pleads, please calm down. I'll search for Han. Maybe we'll find the treasure by digging 3 feet into the ground. Ling and Han are walking through a place when Ling says, I can't feel the presence of anyone besides us. Where are the other students who came with us? They reach a place, and Han tells him, stay behind me. I feel something strange. He mentions, there might be a transportation array that could take us to a city. Han cautiously puts his foot across a magical energy door in front of him. Suddenly, he notices something strange. Ling becomes surprised as the surroundings change completely. Has the world transformed all of a sudden? He wonders aloud. They find a long, thin flame emerging from the head of a monster in front of them. Ling asks, what happened? We were in a broken house just a few seconds ago. Han explains, Jingshur Cave is a small world, but it contains an even smaller world inside it. It's very unusual. Looking at the monster, Han says, this world contains monsters that are sleeping, but living beings can still enter this world. Han thinks, it's too mysterious. He knows it's not just some storage space that can only contain limitless fluctuations. He believes, even the Emperor can't open this small world, it's too small. Han realizes that Jingshur Cave is not normal and starts wondering, who is in charge of the cave? Could it hold ancient secrets? Although Han doesn't know much about ancient things, he knows they have always been pursued because of their heritage. Suddenly, Ling tells Han, we've been trapped inside a barrier. We can't break it or escape. There's no door either. Ling becomes frustrated, muttering, are we trapped here forever? I just want to go home. Han sharply tells him, stay silent, or you might wake the sleeping monster. He adds, relax, this might be some kind of test for us. Ling asks, a test? What do you mean? Han points at the sleeping monster. The test must be related to it. I think we need to beat it. Then the answer will reveal itself. Ling, determined, jumps onto the high platform. Let me deal with the monster. He declares, I'm really good at dealing with cats. Suddenly, the monster wakes up. The noise created by Ling startles it. The monster looks at Ling and thinks to itself, I haven't eaten meat in a very long time. Ling isn't scared. He calls out, stupid cat, tell me about this place and the way out. The monster becomes angry and reveals its scary jaws. Suddenly, the metallic stand holding the platform starts to bend. Han, surprised, exclaims, the platform, it's breaking. The high platform collapses, and the monster falls down, roaring continuously. Ling, still confused, questions, what's happening? Han shouts, move, run, now. Both of them start running, but suddenly, a medium-sized explosion occurs, throwing them both away. Han immediately gets up, thinking, Was that a spiritual attack? This monster could be really dangerous if it's in the purification stage. The situation takes a sinister turn as the monster reveals its sharp claws, transforms into a huge, monstrous figure, and starts walking toward them. Han, stunned, mutters, "I never expected a cat-like monster to become such a huge, scary creature." The monster keeps moving toward them when, all of a sudden, it trips. Ling exclaims, "It must be tied to something." Han realizes, the monster is chained to the metallic stand. Suddenly, the monster starts acting strangely, it makes weird noises and emits strange energies from its body. Ling, frozen for a moment, gasps, "It's too strong. I can feel it, freezing my soul." Han tells Ling, that demon has reached the spirit refining stage. It's even stronger than the entire Luo family. He adds, "We're fortunate it didn't attack our souls. Otherwise, we would have either died or lost our minds." Han thinks, it's good that the monster is chained. Otherwise, we'd have to pay a heavy price. He jumps toward the monster, while Ling shouts, "Is there nothing we can do? Are we trapped in this small world forever?" Han looks at the demon and realizes, it must be chained because it's too powerful. He notices the chain bound to the monster's foot and thinks, it must be suppressing its powers. But who could have trapped such a monster? It's at the refining stage. What kind of cultivation would it practice if its limitations were lifted? Han's attention shifts to a stone tablet nearby. He reads it and realizes, it says something about the sand trial. Han starts to wonder, what is it? Was there a trial place near here in the past? He ponders, how are we supposed to pass the trial even if this is the trial's location? Suddenly, he turns around and finds Ling feeding spiritual fruits to the beast out of his bag. Ling, holding the bag, tells Han, the beast is a fierce animal. It feeds on human flesh. Why are you feeding it fruits? Ling, unconcerned, replies, all animals are the same. I believe any animal would become harmless if I keep feeding it. Han frowns, are you sure that'll work? Demonic beasts are above the spirit refining stage. That stage is a huge threshold for cultivators. It dramatically increases their spiritual power and combat strength. Ling waves him off. Don't worry, I'm good at dealing with cats. The monster, slowly approaching, thinks to itself, what a fool. It decides, I'll eat the spiritual fruits first. His meat won't taste good anyway, he's too low level. But once I'm done, I'll eat both of them. Ling, grinning, says to the monster, you can have all the fruits, if you behave obediently. The monster keeps eating as Ling turns to Han. I want to take a picture. Taming a cat at the spirit refining level will make me famous. I'll be the first to do it. Han sighs, thinking, Ling is too bold. Don't be so cocky. Han warns, just keep the monster busy. I'll find a way out. The monster, sneering inwardly, thinks, these two are idiots. It prepares to eat them after finishing the fruits, turning its gaze to Han. His meat might taste better, he's at a higher level. Suddenly, Han starts smiling mysteriously. The monster freezes, startled. Why is he smiling? It wonders, did he hear my thoughts? Does he know my true intentions? Han walks toward the iron pedestal, curiosity etched on his face. Could this be the object binding the monster? He stretches out his hand to touch it but instantly recoils. The energy, it's not ordinary. It's compressed more than 10 times. Han decides, I can't let this energy pour onto my body, it might make me explode. Ling, noticing his hesitation, asks nervously, is something wrong? The monster watches, amused. Fool, touching that pedestal will either make him explode, or trap him here forever. Han mutters, I can't move my body now. His mind races. This energy is mixed with spiritual power strong enough to control a body. He whispers to himself, such a thing, it could only have been created by Emperor Zoan. If I die now, I'll be trapped here forever. Ling, growing anxious, spills the remaining spiritual fruits and begs the monster, please help us, take all the fruits, just get us out of here. The monster, licking its lips, thinks, foolish boy, it knows, the iron pedestal was made by sand. That old man isn't a good person, but he's very strong. The monster begins plotting again. How can I eat both of them? Han, feeling his body weaken by the second, tells himself, stay calm, think, find a way out. Suddenly, an idea sparks in his mind. The 9-branch treasure tree. He activates it immediately. From his chest, it starts glowing, absorbing all the energy in the surroundings. Han feels the effects instantly. The treasure tree, it's helping me grow stronger. He smiles, realizing, the tree can even grow leaves, but he also knows, it will need more energy than most monks can produce. The monster, momentarily distracted, savors the spiritual fruits. Delicious. Then it glances at the treasure tree. Recognition dawning. That tree, it was believed to be extinct. It stares at Han, Has it been with him all along? The monster recalls. The first person to possess 10 treasure trees was an old man. Could Han be connected to him somehow? T watches as Han uses the treasure tree to absorb the surrounding energy. He's drawing from the spiritual power of the king. Will the king fall asleep? Han notices the treasure tree glowing brighter. The aura. It's fueling the tree. But it won't stop. He thinks urgently. I must find a way to exit this place before it absorbs everything. He knows. The 9 mysterious trees will be planted within a day. The design will be sophisticated enough to allow the matrix to operate freely. Han realizes. The owner of this smaller world. This isn't an ordinary monk. He thinks. They must be someone as strong as the king or even stronger. Suddenly, lightning strikes the iron pedestal. Crack. The pedestal begins to splinter. Ling, startled, shouts, Han, what's happening? Han replies urgently. We must get out of this world. It's being run by the aura, it's unstable. Before they can act, the monster breaks free from the chain with a loud clang and roars. I'm free. Finally, I'll go to the outer world, get revenge on bad people, and find good food. With a swift motion, the monster flies through a portal, snatching Ling's bag of spiritual fruits on the way. Ling screams, hey, that's mine, give it back. Han grabs his arm. We have to follow it. It might know the way to the outer world. But Ling, still yelling, cries out, my spiritual fruits. Han shakes his head. Forget the fruits. Go get the chain it broke free from. I'll handle the stone tablet. Ling nods reluctantly and retrieves the chain while Han channels his power into the stone tablet. It begins to float in the air, glowing faintly. Han murmurs, this is a token. For sure, but what's its use? Ling runs back with the chain. Here, it's just a broken chain, what are you planning to do with it? Han snaps, hitting him lightly on the head. How dare you call it ordinary? This chain held a monster that's past the purification stage. It's 9 times stronger than us. Ling grins slyly. Fine, then I'll use it to catch that monster for stealing my fruits once we escape this place. Suddenly, a massive portal opens in front of them, swirling with energy. Han's eyes widen. The monster. It knows ancient secrets. It must have opened this portal. He grabs Ling. Come on, we need to get out now. I think this small world will collapse once the monster escapes. They sprint toward the portal. The ground trembles behind them, cracks splitting across the surface as they leap through. On the other side, they open their eyes, blinking in shock. A crowd surrounds them. Han glances to his right, disoriented. What is this place? Silverwing stands nearby, equally surprised. Han, how did you end up here? Han doesn't respond. His eyes lock onto injured people sprawled on the ground. What's going on? He demands. Silverwing shakes his head. Han, you've arrived just in time. Despite our grudge, we must act together as a school. We need to work with Lu Yunzi. Han cuts him off sharply. No, tell me everything. Now. Silverwing sighs. The people in front of us. They're from different schools. They've stolen all our spiritual fruits and injured most of our men. At that moment, Ling gasps, remembering his own fruits. Wait, Silverwing, did you see a monster? It looks like a cat and it had a bag of spiritual fruits. Silverwing looks puzzled. No, I haven't seen any monster. Ling curses under his breath. That thieving beast. Those fruits were bought with all of my father's life savings. Silverwing frowns. Why aren't you two more worried? This concerns our school. Before anyone can respond, a tall, bald man slams his hammer onto the floor with a deafening boom. He growls. Are you done chatting? Hand over the fruits, now. Silverwing narrows his eyes. Never. The bald man smirks menacingly. I'm trained in physical combat. The aura is gone inside Jingshire Cave. So you stand no chance. Hand them over, or I won't be blamed for what happens next. Silverwing steps forward, his voice filled with anger. I'd rather die than give up the fruits. He points at the man. Touch Lu Yunzi, and you'll pay with your blood. The bald man glares. Don't waste my time. He snaps. I need those fruits to replenish my energy and find the Ganoderma. If you force me to resort to violence, I promise no teacher or coordinator will be able to help you. Ling turns to Han. Desperate. Our fruits. What are we going to do? Han smirks and turns to Silverwing. I'll take half your fruits, and all the loot. The tall man's face twists with discomfort as he recalls Kwang's death. He sneers at Han, raising his hammer high into the air. You overshadow Kwang, the one you killed. His voice booms, filled with fury. Let me tell you something, Han. I've been genetically altered, fused with ancient martial arts. My body is unstoppable. He smiles darkly. And now, you'll face death, because you dared to uncover my secret. Han meets his gaze, calm but sharp. You're so far behind. You don't even know what a truly invincible physical body is. Han's mind races. Xianhua Company. He thinks, a top-secret tech company with branches all over the world. One of those branches, destroyed by the Luo family, used to operate on the southern island. Memories of his past life surface. Back then, Han hadn't understood the depths of the Xianwood Company's operations, but he had known there was an ancient manipulator behind it, someone whose goal was to destroy the world. Han narrows his eyes. If I take these enemies down, maybe I'll finally get some answers. The tall man turns to his group, barking orders. Don't let anyone live. They know too much. Silverwing tenses and looks at Han. The enemy's coming. There's only one way to handle this. He steps closer, urgency in his tone. Han, go. Inform Uni about the situation. Then, rush back to save me. Han shakes his head. No. He stands firm. Run? That thought doesn't even cross his mind. I'll face them. All of them. Han's gaze softens for a moment. Uni did a good job teaching Neo and Silverwing. Even now, Silverwing wants me to escape, though we were enemies, not long ago. The tall man roars, snapping Han back to the moment. You've got guts, Han, but bravery won't save you. I've crushed braver men than you. He charges forward, his hammer swinging. With a deafening thud, he leaps into the air, aiming for Han. Han doesn't move. The tall man laughs. Stupid fool, won't even try to save himself. But Han's thoughts are clear. The holy body grows stronger with every challenge. And this opponent isn't even worthy. The hammer crashes toward him. Han's fist meets it with a thunderous crack. The tall man stumbles back, his eyes wide with disbelief. You stopped it? Han smirks. What's wrong? You said your body was physically invincible. The tall man grits his teeth, his grip tightening on the hammer. He lunges again. You'll die soon. Once you run out of aura, you're nothing without it. Han dodges smoothly, his voice cutting. Stupid. His tone sharpens. I've been testing your strength. Now, fight me like a man. Silverwing watches in stunned silence. How? His thoughts spiral. Han, he's faster than me. Even with my 2 wings, I can't compare. Ling steps onto the scene, grinning. That's just Han for you. He leans closer to Silverwing, his voice dropping to a teasing tone. Every girl, amazed by him, secretly loves him, like Uni does. Silverwing's shock deepens. What? Ling shrugs, still smiling. It's true, but Han? He doesn't care about any of it. Silverwing narrows his eyes. Why are you so proud of him? Do you have some kind of relationship with him? Ling chuckles. You just don't get it. He looks away, thoughtful. Uni, she might seem simple, but she's stronger than you think. She doesn't even realize it herself. That's why she let you and surrender the other day. Meanwhile, the tall man rips off his shirt, his muscles rippling. Face me like a man, Han. He roars. Let me show you the real strength I carry. He steps closer, taunting. Come on, try to move me, if you dare. Han strides forward, calm but resolute. In a flash, he drives his elbow into the tall man's abdomen with devastating force. The impact sends the tall man hurtling into a nearby building. The tall man groans, dazed. How? Han stumbles briefly, throwing up from the sheer exertion, but he rises again, steady, walking toward the tall man. Han locks eyes with him. The tall man trembles, his voice shaking. Your body, it doesn't even have much aura. But, I felt it. That attack aura, and physical power, combined. The man stammers. It's impossible. You can't be stronger than me. Transformed by assault creatures. Han tells him that his physical invincibility is useless. You think your skin is like gold? That fire could never burn it? Han blares, his voice sharp. Time to take care of his friends. Han thinks, now that the tall man has been taken down. Silverwing's eyes dart nervously around. Han, we have to decide. Quickly, his voice shakes. I feel something dangerous is coming. He looks into the distance. Jinchur Dongan. It's too quiet. Meanwhile, in the outer world, a massive digital screen flickers into the sky. Bright dots, green and red, flash ominously. Gasps ripple through the crowd. One man points at the screen. Look, the red dots. They're dead students. The person next to Khan pales. It's only been 4 hours since they entered the cave, and 5 are dead already. Kai steps forward, his face grim. Jingshur, this is the first phase after the Reiki festival started. He points at the screen, his voice steady. Green dots, alive. Red dots, dead. He pauses, swallowing hard. 5 dead already. This isn't normal. He turns to the others. I've reported it. The authorities, they'll send rescue teams soon. We can't allow more casualties. Back in the cave, Han surveys the fallen enemies. Most lie motionless, their hammers scattered around. They're weaker than their leader. Han mutters, picking up a hammer. Its weight surprises him. Magical weapons? Han glances at Ling. These are valuable. His mind races. Are the basalt creatures this rich? His fingers tighten around the weapon. Even though magical weapons aren't as strong as spiritual ones, they're rare, precious. Han's thoughts flash back to his previous fight with Ban. Last time, bronze weapons. Now this? Are the current students wealthy? Silverwing approaches, dragging a heavy sack. Here. he says, breathless. The loot. It's all yours. Han peers inside. There are 15 hammers. Silverwing explains. The biggest one. The strongest. And, he hesitates. About those fruits. Half are yours. That's 280 pieces. He looks at Han. Thank you for helping us. Han waves him off. A piece of cake, he replies casually. These enemies, they'll lead me to their squad leader. Han's gaze shifts. Ganoderma, spirit grass. His thoughts linger. The class monitor, the strongest student in Jingshi Cave. Suddenly, a deafening noise shatters the air. What the? Ling stumbles back, startled. His wide eyes dart to the sky. What is that sound? Above them, a black portal tears open, swirling ominously. From within, grotesque, monstrous figures emerge. The tall man, still crumpled on the ground, looks up. His face turns white. Help! Someone, please, he cries, his voice cracking. One of the monsters lunges at him. No! Stay back! The tall man screams, thrashing helplessly, but the creature strikes, ripping into him mercilessly. Run! Han shouts. His voice cuts through the chaos. No one hesitates. Ling stumbles as he shouts to his men. This place, Jingshi Cave. It's not normal. The sound of growls sends chills down his spine. Han, wait for me. Han keeps running, his mind racing. Red-thundered wolves. Fierce, cruel. These creatures? His thoughts flash to Khan's words. Jingshi Cave was supposed to be safe. Han clenches his fists. If I'd known, I'd never have entered. His legs pump harder. Heaven, if I wait long enough, maybe I'll reach it. But now, survival is everything. The wolves are closing in. Their snarls grow louder. A girl, panting heavily, stumbles. One wolf leaps at her. She screams, I don't want to die. Not like this. Not at the hands of wolves. Suddenly, Silverwing swoops down, his wings spread wide, and lifts her into the air. But the wolf chasing her leaps, its jaws snapping, and bites off one of his wings. Silverwing gasps, struggling to free his wing from the wolf's grip. What kind of creature is this? He wonders, panic setting in. My wings, they're stronger than alloy. Yet the wolf crushes it easily. Meanwhile, Han halts abruptly, the chaos around him, unbearable. Wolves attacking everywhere. Blood, screams. He tosses spiritual fruits at Lan. Keep running, Han yells. If you run out of aura, eat these. Han pulls out a broken chain, his thoughts racing. Red pupil wolves, humanity's nightmare. Fierce creatures, they've devoured villages. Humans, everything. They're fearless. Death means nothing to them. Above, Silverwing writhes in pain, still trying to free himself. Then another wolf leaps, its jaws clamp onto his remaining wing. No! Silverwing screams, plummeting. He crashes to the ground, the wolves dragging him down. Dazed, he looks up, and freezes. He's surrounded. A sea of wolves, their eyes glowing red, their howls piercing the air. I never thought, Silverwing whispers, trembling, the wolves would fight back. Fear grips him, his body shakes uncontrollably. Am I going to die here? The wolves close in, their teeth bared. Silverwing stops struggling, he lowers his head, whispering to himself, this is it, devoured by beasts. Today's the day. Suddenly a chain, it strikes one of the wolves square in the chest, sending it flying. Silverwing blinks in disbelief. It's Han. Han steps forward, his eyes blazing. Think of a way to repay me later. Silverwing, he snaps. You owe me another life. The wolves growl, their attention shifting to Han. Silverwing stares at him, stunned. Han, move. Han shouts. I can't hold them off for long. The wolves hesitate, their eyes flicker to the chain in Han's hand. They fear it. Han realizes, this chain, it once restrained the cat monster. What kind of beast was that? Han and Silverwing break into a run, the wolves close behind. Where did these wolves come from? Han demands. Silverwing, panting, replies, they're too strong. Even one is enough to take me down. And now hundreds. He gasps. I thought I'd die. Han's jaw tightens. Red-thundered wolves, killer creatures. They consume all flesh, all life. They're strong enough to build a PE foundation. Silverwing glances at his shattered wings. The one that bit me. It must have the strength of the early days of Dan. Han nods grimly. If I hadn't stepped in, you'd be dead. Silverwing grimaces. They'll catch us soon. My wings, they're broken. And, my people, they can't keep up. His voice falters. We need a plan. Han doesn't hesitate. We go to Lu Uni. She's looking for the Ganoderma with her people. Silverwing frowns. Uni, you want to lead the wolves? To her? Exactly. Han snaps. We'll trap them. Surround them. Uni's team. They're skilled slaughterers. But, Silverwing hesitates. Isn't that too dangerous? What if Uni enough? Han shouts, his patience snapping. You're too hesitant. Silverwing, you've been acting like a mother-in-law ever since you started following Lu Yuni. Silverwing flinches at Han's outburst. The wolves can't hurt her. Han roars. And don't think I don't know. Yuni's been hiding her true strength from the beginning. Han narrows his eyes. Or, do you have a crush on her? Is that why you worry about her so much? Silverwing, startled and embarrassed, stammers, no, that's not. Then shut up and move. Han barks. Silverwing takes a deep breath. He understands now. All right, he mutters. Let's do it your way. They keep running. Silverwing gestures ahead. Follow me. Far ahead, Uni and Yo stand before a towering, cliff-like structure. People surround them, many, armed and tense. Neo frowns, scanning the crowd. There are so many people here. Uni, I don't recognize most of them. He squints at a group in the distance, their swords glinting. Those guys, they give me a bad feeling. He looks at Uni. Should we grab the Ganoderma now, before they do? Uni shakes her head calmly. No, let the Ganoderma mature. It's not ready yet. She warns sharply. We'll become a target if we dare attack anyone first. Yunzi's eyes scan the swordsman nearby, narrowing with suspicion. Sharon's sword school, she guesses. What are they doing here? Nearby, Janine stands impatiently with her brother. Xuan, she huffs. I hate waiting. Let's chase them away. That Ganoderma belongs to us. Her eyes burn with determination as she continues. Anyone who upgrades their cultivation to the 9th stage of the foundation after consuming